appreciate you all doing that. Ghosts of Hawaii, you know who. And tonight we are in for a treat with our very special guest that I have here this evening. Um, the reason why I was kind of late is I continue to have my struggles with acid reflux. So I had to kind of like get it under control a bit. It's not 100%. So if you hear me go, that's just me going through it. Anyway, for our guest tonight, it's a longtime friend that I met through social media. And as a matter of fact, I was very lucky to meet her in person. We interacted in a few of my events that I would hold over the years. And needless to say, we talked about many different things. But along the way, the subject of Japan came up. And because of that, uh, there was an interest with all of it. For me personally, before we go into everything else, real quick, besides encountering Japanese spirits, and some of them are incredibly terrifying, trust me, no two ways about it. I remember, and maybe my guest could elaborate a little bit, and then we'll go into everything else about what we're talking about tonight. But when I was a kid, excuse me, my parents used to take me to the old Empress Theater, if anyone remembers that, in downtown Honolulu. And we would go to watch, samurai movies and everything else. Well, the one thing that I always remembered, and I think I mentioned it once or twice, waiting in line outside, they have all these big posters, yeah. And I'm a little kid, and then they would have, like, for some reason, a whole bunch of these what we call obaki movies. And when you see these posters, you kind of get an idea. You kind of get an idea so how spooky some of these spirits are. If you read the history of Japan and the Yuri and everything else that are there, some of the most vengeful spirits as well are women. And I think it's because of the way society is in Japan in the past. And I think we're progressing with Japanese culture, if I'm not mistaken. But women were always treated as second, yeah? They were not treated as primary, they were second. So I think when they died, especially under unusual circumstances, they would return as Yuri, very vengeful spirits. So I would see these posters, and I never knew years later I'd be sitting here talking to my guest tonight about these type of spirits. And we'll do more, trust me on that. So tonight my guest is Dee Momilani. She is part of the Facebook community. She has, I believe, been there for quite a while, and recently she opened up a page about, in case you're interested in that, about health. So tonight, without further ado, live from somewhere on the island of Oahu, she can say where her coordinates are and all of that. Dee Momilani. Dee, thank you for being here on Ghosts of Hawaii. It's such a pleasure to have you. First and foremost, how are you doing this evening?
I am. I'm excited.
You're excited. Oh, I am too.
And I am. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, it's like finally we get. I get to share. I get to share Japan properly.
That's good. And you, okay, so let me ask you a question real quick before going further. Did you go to these movies when you were growing up? Did you see all these scary ghost movies, Japanese movies? Because they were pretty terrifying. Oh, because if you did, I thought maybe you would have a something to work with as far as describing what some of these things might have happened while you were in Japan. Okay, so let's continue our
I'm sorry.
conversation.
Grudge.
Yeah.
The grudge I have. The grudge and the Juon. Juon is the Japanese version of the grudge.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was a ring. They had the ring Japanese version. I think I did see part of it on Japan. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's not. Yeah, I see.
Oh, I'm gonna have to put up the volume here. That's just
Okay.
me. All the way up. There we go. We got you on. We got you on louder. Okay, so you grew up here in Hawaii. Of course, you're a local girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Born and raised, right?
Yeah.
As far as anything you like to share about your past, if it's connected with the spiritual, or briefly go over anything like that, or if you grew up around, like a lot of local people have been, exposed to ghosts here, and everybody, practically everyone, I think, used to sit around and talk story and tutu and aunties and uncles, and they're scared the bejesus out of each other. Give us an idea of what it was like growing up here. Let me see what you got. Hi, Ohana and friends. Go ahead, say hi to them. Of course, go ahead. Take it away,
Say
Dee.
hi. Hi. I cannot type onto the YouTube because I'm not signed in. Okay. So I well, with me being old school, I like to say I'm very old school, so it doesn't make me feel old. Yeah, I miss the late 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. So I'm almost 45 years old this year, and I grew up, born and raised, since baby at Kukui Garden in the heart of Kalihi Palama, just a block away from Chinatown.
Mm-hmm.
And I it's very interesting that my niece is watching tonight, Adrian. So her mom, my eldest sister, actually told me that since I was like a toddler, that would be like late 70s, I would always, when my older brothers and sisters were getting ready to go to school, St. Louis or Cathedral, Damien, Sacred Heart, and they were eating breakfast, okay, in Kukui Garden. I remember I would always wake up. Oh my gosh, in my dream, I would see these Hawaiian families, or I would see so and so in my dream, and it would be people, and they would all freak out, and they would tell me to tell you folks hi and all that. And my mom and my siblings would get all freaked out because I would, because I hadn't met them. All these Hawaiian family members passed away before I was born. So that was a start, as what I was told before I started to notice that I was seeing ghosts on the property.
Let me ask you a question real quick. Up to that point when you had the recognition that you were seeing spirits, what did you think they were before that? Before you knew they were ghosts? Just a dream, or what did you think?
I knew they were real, and I thought they came to make trouble to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I thought they were trying to scare me. I actually thought that throughout the 1980s and 1990s. Um, I know, but I thought it was just rumors from the elders, the elder, because we mostly had Cantonese Chinese neighbors,
Mm-hmm.
and Hawaiian and locals, different locals, mostly Hawaiians and Cantonese Chinese as neighbors growing up in Kukui Garden.
Mm-hmm.
And the elders and the older kids used to always tell us that Kukui Gardens used to be a graveyard. And we never understood what they meant. Like, okay, yeah, you guys are really trying to scare us. So I always thought that these spirits that I was seeing, which was Hawaiian, Chinese, and just zombie looking, were just trying to scare me. Were trying to make pretend they were somebody I know and trying to scare me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I,
That
I
was the initiative. Yeah, the initiative thought. Yeah.
I would have probably maybe thought the same thing, especially when you're younger and you just are beginning to understand what the world is like, and then, of course, all of a sudden, this door or whatever you want to call it opens up, and then you're dealing with the other world that's out there. Um, so you have experienced it as well, but slowly over the years, I guess you've had other parts of you happen, maybe like a spiritual side or anything with you, or how did you progress in life and understanding how to live with all of this in your life?
Where do I begin?
Right, that's fine. That's why we're here and people are watching right now.
Okay.
Thank you for the
I think
lights,
I
by the
know where
way.
to begin because I think that came from my notes. So, okay, the year was 2005. I was 28 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I was already freshly married to my husband,
Uh-huh.
my Navy husband. He's not from Hawaii. He's from South Carolina and Georgia. Um, so he was already. He had to go to his new duty station, Yokosuka Navy base. Okay.
Oh, so we're in
So
Japan now. Okay, okay. Let's go ahead.
yeah, so he was stationed on Pearl Harbor when we were dating in 2004. But we got married early 2005,
Mm-hmm.
and he already had orders. He wanted to go back to Japan, so he came from Japan
Okay.
from 1999 to 2003, and then he saw the big difference. Like he started seeing so many Japanese tourists, right? So before he met me, he wanted to go back to Japan.
Wow.
So it was so interesting though. So um, I was Papai. I was pregnant with my son, my youngest son. I was just early months pregnant, and I just had my oldest son. So us three were still here on Oahu in Kukui Gardens with my mom and dad.
Uh-huh.
And Freddie, my husband, he was about to come back from Yokosuka because we already shipped all our household goods to Japan for my side, me and my son. But anyway, so 1 week prior to answering your question, Obake, 1 week prior to moving to Yokosuka Navy Base, my best childhood friend that I've known, she was also former neighbors with my elder sister, Foothills El Punchbowl
Mm-hmm.
on Tennis Street.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, my girlfriend took me out to go eat at Bukas. I think it was called Bukas. Sorry. The pandemic made me forget all the restaurants' names.
That's okay. Blame it on something. I understand. I do the same thing.
Okay, I think it's called Bukas. So anyways, or Bocas, the Italian restaurant next to Dave and Buster's here
Oh
in
yeah.
yeah,
I can't even pronounce that dang thing. I see it, I'm like blah 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 blah. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
so we went to go eat there, and then it was nearly about 11ish at night. So she wanted to drop me off home. So actually, it wasn't 1 week prior. It was just a few days prior when Freddie was about to come from Yokosuka, take a vacation to
Right.
pick me and my son up to fly us back to Yokosuka. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so we got done eating dinner. She was just about to drop me off at my parents' place where I grew up on the vineyard. So if you know Kukui Garden
Right.
here on the island,
Yes.
it's great. Well, it's like a huge block. So the side that
That's
we
it. Boca
live,
di Beppo. Thank you there, my friend. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So from high school years, early 90s, up until I moved to Japan, 2005, my parents and I lived on the North Vineyard entrance, by the North Vineyard entrance. So when she parked there at the entrance, my best friend wanted to take a picture of us together on her old-fashioned phone, those flip phones, the 2005 brand phones.
Mm-hmm.
And we found like a street lamp, because we had these street lamps all throughout our residence where we grew up. And it's not too light, it's not too bright, it's like lightly dim.
Mm-hmm.
So we took several pictures actually underneath there, and we saw things in her cell phone. And what
Oh.
we started to see, yes. So we started to see, this was my first experience, okay?
Wow.
We started to see from us, it started with lightning. First it was, what was it? It was lightning flashes, I think, lightning flashes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like all like zigzag, and it was like starting to cover our faces, like scratch out both of our faces,
Right.
while everything else was clear. And then she kept taking pictures. She kept saying, "Oh, my phone is messed up." I'm like, "Yeah, your phone is old. That's why. It's probably because it's Verizon." Sorry, Verizon. So anyways, because I had spread. So anyways, the next set of pictures she took started to show orbs. And then the orbs started getting more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she took some more pictures from the lightning flashes that covered our faces to the orbs that started to cover our faces and gravitate all around us,
Right.
turned into people. We started to see people in our picture. Now, mind you, Kukui Gardens back in 2005, where I grew up, okay, at nighttime, it's quiet, very quiet. The ground is quiet. They have strict rules there, orderly fashion rules. You just got to respect the premises and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was running the neighborhood watch. So we were just like feet, like probably like 30 feet away from my parents' apartment where I grew up.
Okay.
And what we saw standing all around us, behind us, and then kneeling, squatting down below us,
Mm-hmm.
they were like gray skull people, and you can tell they were ghostly because they were kind of transparent. And the ones in front of us, they were mixed of Hawaiian. How did I know they're Hawaiian and they're not Hawaiian? I know what Hawaiian looks like. And my friend was Hawaiian. They were Hawaiian. They were dressed ancient. Some of them looked naked. Sorry, not to be disrespectful. Some of them were bare. Some of them were wearing kapa wraps. The women, they were all women. And they looked friendly. They were not scary. They had all oblong faces. You can tell they were human. But they were gray skull color. And you can tell some of them were Chinese too. Because I have Chinese ancestry as well. And they were dressed in a real old Chinese ancestry clothing of, I want to say maybe 1800, 1900 time period. And then all behind us were just like Hawaiians and Chinese. And they were trying to lean in like this, close to our pictures. And they were like, like smiling like that. And you can tell they were happy or excited for us to see them. And then, to my right was a man, Hawaiian warrior. He was the only one that was brightly lit like us, but brighter. He was like shining bright. Like glowing. And he was my height, and he had like a protruding forehead. He had a long, he looked like his side of his head was shaved, and he had like a long, his hair was slicked back, or what? Maybe it was slicked back, and it was like a long ponytail. And he was wearing actually the loincloth. Oh God, what is it called? What is the Hawaiian loincloth
Malu?
called?
The malu?
The malu. Yeah, he was wearing the malu. And it was kapa. It looked like a kapa cloth. And he had a spear in his hand. And he was standing right. I'm shaking. I haven't shaken like this in a long time. I'm shaking. So he was standing to my right. And he was like this. Okay. And only to me.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe.
Everything went from 70 degrees to, I kid you not, 20 degrees. And my girlfriend dropped her cell phone. Now, she is a stronger Christian. I was a Christian girl back then. I love the Lord really strongly, everything. But she dropped her phone. She started rebuking to her phone, everything. It took her 40 minutes, almost an hour, to delete all those pictures, how it changed from the orbs, lightning flashes, everything to the people in the picture. Took her about almost an hour. And she lived all the way out in Makakilo, and we were all the way out in Chinatown. And she was so scared to go home. And it had to take me to kind of step back from everything.
Right.
And that moment, and talk to it and say, hey, aloha, we've come in peace. I don't know if you know me. I'm hoping you are my ohana, or if you're my friend's ohana too. I do have Chinese. I have Hawaiian. Um, I lived here all my life. My mom raised my older siblings since 1969, 1970 here on Kukui Garden. And I said, I know that you folks were buried here because there's Eevees, there's Hawaiian bones, there's bones, and dog bones throughout the property. That was found by my eldest sister's husband, who was working construction. I don't want to say the company's name, but was working construction at that time, and he was underneath there, underground. He saw the bones in 1980s, 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
And then Board of Water Supply, every time I would be riding on my brother's BMX 1980s bike,
Yeah.
I would see all the bones in the burials in the underground. So I told them at that time, our property was just about to go through renovation. We was getting a whole new property manager. The actual owners of the property a local family was actually selling the property because they were old already and they wanted to move on.
Right.
So the state of Hawaii was willing to take over and help, or they were just going to get rid of it. And who knows the fate of all the local families that were living there, And that was considered almost like HUD. It was under HUD.
Yes.
And it was considered for like low income, middle income local families.
Let me ask you a question.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. Not a problem. There's a lot of interesting stuff that you were sharing just now. So, first of all, you said that there are EV underground and everything. And just briefly tell me, what did they do with it? Or is it still there? Are they keeping it in a certain way? Because I know they make ahus and stuff usually they're still there. They're not doing it. They're just, no one's doing nothing with them. They're just there. So they're not being they're not being disturbed.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay. That's basically what I wanted to know.
And I cry because.
No, it's okay. I understand.
Kukui Gardens means a lot to me.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it became half of it. I want to say by 2008, 2007, 2008. Half of the property from half of Laliha to King Street, where Ala Park is facing, became Kukui Gardens. It still remains, and that's under the state of Hawaii.
Yes.
And then the other half from Laliha to Gilliard Boulevard became owner, which kind of upsetted me, to a California man, and I was already gone to Japan when he took over half of the property where my parents was living. So that was meant for those with the middle income and up.
So there's probably a lot of, there might be somewhat activity. So we're going to move forward to Japan, but before we leave Oahu for a while, do you feel, just briefly, and then we're going to talk about Japan, do you feel like they were like giving you a send-off? Like they were saying that...
I believe they were asking me for help. And I didn't want to believe it at the time because when I talked to them, that time when we took pictures, like goodbye photos, when I talked to those ancestors that were there, I told them, please don't follow me to Japan because I don't need to see the grudge. I don't need to see the ring girl. Oh my God. All my life, I've experienced ghosts growing up here in Kukui Garden since baby till 2005. And I said, I don't want this following me to Japan, please. And don't follow my girlfriend to Makakilo. But I didn't know they were my ancestors.
Right. So we're going to go into Japan. But real quickly, as an overall thing to say about that, do you feel in any way at all that they followed you there or not?
Oh, did I freeze?
No, you didn't. You're still doing good. I got you on this end, doing really
Oh,
good.
interesting.
Yeah.
Why is it doing that? Okay, because I see myself and my cell phone moving, and okay, guys. So
Welcome to my live stream. All kind of weird stuff happens. So no, no, but did you feel that they followed you or not? Do you think
yes,
they did follow
I
you?
believe that they did, and that they were always at my side, and they're still at my side.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good thing because you said you saw them as happy spirits. Okay, so now let's talk about you going to Japan. I know you said that you dated your husband and then of course got married and everything. Uh,
Yes.
so did he ever tell you anything interesting very quickly about Pearl Harbor? I'm kind of interested in that. That just did he say there was anything going on over there?
Pearl Harbor?
Yeah.
No, no.
Okay. Good. Good. Okay.
Let me ask him.
No,
Wait,
no, no. That's
let me
okay. That's
ask him.
okay. No, no. I just was
Can
wondering.
I ask him? He's over there.
No, that's okay. So
Okay.
anyway, you go to Japan. Now, what I want to know is, before all this stuff that you encountered there, what was it like going to Japan? Like, okay, you get there, you get off the plane. What was your initial feeling when you got there?
Excited.
Excited?
Sad
Sad.
and excited because I cried all the way through on the plane leaving Hawaii. My first time, 28 years old,
Uh huh.
leaving my home Hawaii to move somewhere else
Oh, okay. That's
with
interesting.
my oldest son because I was a single mom. So yeah,
Mm,
I
wow.
was pregnant, so I had a
Mm.
lot of emotion.
Did you immediately feel that sense of I don't, the thing about Japan is, very wonderful people. I love Japan. I love the people. I love the culture. Of course, I love everything about ghosts in Japan. I love all of that stuff. I really do. But I know that there's a difference, and I think Joe Panohu has been to Japan, and he kind of explained to me what it's like to go there and what you experience when you go there. Did you feel that sense of you're welcome, but yet there's that sense of separation? Did you feel that right away at all when you were there?
No,
Really? They were very nice to you.
their hospitality is equivalent to Southern hospitality
Mm-hmm.
and to Hawaiian hospitality, but more so. Because
Ah.
mainland is on a different vibe. So let's not compare mainland right now. Sorry, mainland folks, forget.
No, we're just talking. Like I said, I totally love Japan. I love the people, everything. But I know some people experience that sense of separation.
It's that old, yeah, it's
Yeah.
that old school, that vintage, that real vintage old soul Hawaiian hospitality the Japanese people carry. That's what I felt.
Right. That's good that you went to that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
what for you? Okay, so I guess at some point you did start having these encounters with the spirits over there. Yeah. What was
yeah.
like? What was like one of the first things that made you know that something's up with this place, and these ghosts are like around, and we should maybe proceed with caution or whatever you felt. Explain that to me.
Dude, okay. So it was 2005. Yeah, so we moved there August 2005.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it took a couple of days for me and my son. The second day we wanted to go home because I was so culture shocked. I was jet lagged. I was culture shocked, and I didn't understand culture shock. And I cried to my mom and dad at 28 years old. Oh my God. And I really was willing to leave Hawaii for my husband.
Right.
My son was so excited too. Um, I cried to my mom and dad. Dad almost had a one-way plane ticket booked for me and my son to come back to Hawaii.
Wow.
But the third day, my husband had to go back to work. So my husband, Freddie, he set up everything for us. He set up the bedroom for my son. He had everything set up. He
Mm-hmm.
had our bedroom, our house, our dining room, our living room, our kitchen, everything prepared for us. So even our internet. So I had our computer, my desktop, where I could email all my family and friends. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's the first thing. This is the first ghost encounter. So the third day, my husband went back to work odd days. So we were living on Yokosuka Navy base, okay? And we were living in like a earthquake-proof 9-story building,
Uh-huh.
concrete, everything. Oh, you know, the Japanese engineers are top of the notch, excellent. So whenever there's earthquake, we move with the earthquake. Yes, that's right. You're on high speed because
Right.
on the grade of the earthquake. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the third day, I'm sitting in my living in my dining room. Okay, I have the blinds to see outside of base and part of Tokyo Bay. You know, Lanai. I have our blinds partially open, and I'm on the computer. I'm just starting up the computer. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see my money and tell them what we experienced so far in Japan. Right when I'm waiting, there's a black screen, okay, on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you know that advertisement you just posted on your Ghost of Hawaii page of that girl that looks like the Ring girl and the Grudge girl with her hair down?
Yes, and I've seen a ghost that looks exactly like that. Yes, I do know what you're saying.
I don't even know who she was, but
Mm-hmm.
she came to me. Um, she was, I saw somebody walking like that, like about yay high, like probably king. I'm sitting like this, okay? I'm like this height, okay? This height. It was like about this tall,
Yes.
and it was like about 3 feet behind me, and
Mm-hmm.
it started to walk very slowly, and the head was faced towards me. I just felt chills, like I'm feeling right now. I just felt chills cover my whole body, and I know not to show fear, and I was like, I'm like, I need my husband home. Like, I need my husband. I need to go back to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't overreacting like that, but that's what I was thinking in my head. She walked right behind me. She stopped right behind me. That's how I got to see she was wearing something white, and her hair was just down just like that. And then she continued to walk, and then she walked again. I quickly turned, looked behind me. Nothing was behind me, and I never seen her again.
Okay, stop right there. Okay, I got Aloha already saying, "Oh heck no." I gotta chime in with you, Aloha. I totally, I totally just got the chicken skin, chicken laying eggs in my skin or whatever the hell I'm feeling right now. That's now. This is interesting because this is you did it. You just mentioned the first ghost in Japan that you saw, and it really fits the criteria of what a lot of people say. And that's why they're so scary. They're absolutely terrifying. As a matter of fact, I am going to be doing a show just briefly in the future about the Mujina or the Nepero Bull, which is the faceless ghosts of Japan. But yeah, you got me there. You got me hooked in with that, and I feel bad for you. How in
You
the
could,
hell?
you could, you could say that because you remember when I told my Hawaiian, when I found out they were my Hawaiian and Chinese ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
Just what was that? That was just 1 week prior to us moving to Japan. So where I grew up, and I saw those Hawaiian and Chinese ancestors and that Hawaiian warrior come to me. I told them peacefully, please do not. I don't want to see the grudge. I don't want nothing spooky following me to Japan. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, but if you guys are gonna come to protect me or whatever, make sure it's Jesus first. That was a real Christian girl at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure it's Jesus first, God first, and my and people that really, really loves me, my family,
Mm-hmm.
and don't try to scare me. I remember that's what I said to the air, to the ancestors here on Hawaii before we moved to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know what was that.
I understand. I mean, I know that for me, in my experiences, you feel helpless when something just pops out of nowhere, and it's
Yeah.
just the sensation as well as the sighting of a spirit, which I've encountered as well, is
Yeah.
is very overwhelming. But did you feel in any way at all or maybe even afterwards, that this spirit that you saw uh, was trying to tell you something. I hope. What is this? Thank you, LOL. Okay, that's one way to chat. You're finding out
with this girl.
you're chatting old school. You're writing things down and putting it in front of the screen. Did you feel like, was it? Okay, here's another question, real quick. Did this spirit, you think, even know that you were there? Go ahead, freak me out some more, because that's why I'm here. I'm here for the chill. I'm here for the scare. Go ahead, continue.
At that time, no, no. I was so oblivious to understanding anything at that time.
Mm-hmm. That's
I
it.
was, but I believe. I'm a firm believer that you bet your bottom dollar that I prayed. I prayed.
Right.
And
Uh huh.
I think I did. I'll check my email. I think I did send an email out to all my family and my
Mm-hmm.
husband's family in South Carolina and Georgia. I saw a ghost. Yeah, I I think I did, and yeah.
I'm sorry. I still got the way you described it. I almost feel like it's in my room. Like that. Sometimes, again, when we talk about spirits in Hawaii, when we start Vala'au, when we start talking about ghosts, sometimes, I really feel like they're listening. So, I mean, it's just that, again, you described it so well. So, what happened after that? I mean, did she pop up, or that was it? She was gone. She got out of the picture. You didn't see her anymore.
Disappeared. He disappeared, but to now looking back at it, I'm gonna like over 10 years now looking back at it, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna just say I don't think she left. I mean, no, I'm back then.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think she left right away. Knowing how the way spirits mingle and linger.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she may have just passed through, let me know what's up. Like hey, but I don't even know she was Japanese. I couldn't even see the face. I just saw the hair covering her. Her whole hair was covering her, and it was straight black. And she was wearing a white. It was white.
If I'm not mistaken, I have to look it up. So again, guys, when you listen to this show, don't say, "Oh, he just got it all wrong." Because if I do, fine, yeah. But if I'm not mistaken, white is a very powerful symbol for them, and I think it's kind of tied into their funerals and stuff. Like I said, I'm not 100%. I know that the color white is very powerful to them. The other thing that really
Even
strikes me,
Hawaiian.
huh?
Even for Hawaiian, because the remember our ancestors in was it the 19th century used
Mm-hmm.
to wear, was it the 18th century, they used to wear them with the missionaries. I mean, when we look at the photos, right, they look white. So makes me wonder. I don't know if it was an ancestor that was uh, a guardian or something that was
Oh,
letting me
no, yeah,
know,
that don't
yeah,
sound
that's
like
what
no,
it is.
but I just, again, it's just me chiming in. That don't sound like ancestors. That sounds like Japanese ghosts, and
Yeah.
especially the classic thing about, and again, don't mind when I start getting these downloads in my head, but there's got to be something going on, okay, with these spirits, because whether you're talking about the Noperable, the Mujina, or the spirits with the hair in front of their face, something is up with them not wanting their faces to be seen. Some of these spirits have very distinctive traits to who they are. It's like how you identify with them. So I'm always fascinated about that. Why do a lot of these spirits do that? They hide their faces. They don't reveal their faces. Is it something that has to do with in Japan? One of the things is, it's just an idea, guys. One of the things about Japan is that I know that there's shame if something goes wrong. This is where they commit seppuku and everything else. They call,
Yeah,
ritualistic suicide. Yeah. So I
yeah.
wonder if it's a loss of face. But I had to chime in with that because that's a very distinct feature with these ghosts. Very, very much
Yeah.
so.
I know Jeff, so I'm gonna butcher his poor name. Oh, David. David he would probably know. David he Jeff Sora. Param. Sorry, Jeff. I don't say your last name on Facebook. He's the one on Hawaiian Hunting. Jeff, and then Auntie Linda Miranda and Uncle Ralph Miranda. They always talk about the Japanese history, the Japan history, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I know those three, Dave He, who's on right now, and Jeff and Auntie Linda will be the ones that they probably would know a lot too.
Yeah, I mean that's the stuff that I have
Yeah.
ascertained, and I got these crazy downloads that pop in my head too. And I'm thinking of having Dave He back on. Dave, I want you back on. See, white is worn at funerals. Bingo! Didn't I just say that? Didn't I just say that? There you go. I'm gonna have Dave He back on. We're gonna talk about his interest with Japan and the very morbid and spooky side of it. I know that Dave has been posting a lot about that. So, whew. Okay, we got that all situated, D. That's good. We're chugging along here at a nice pace here tonight. So you just went through seeing this. The other thing I got to ask you is, okay, this popped up in your apartment. I don't know if anything else popped up where you lived, but did you ask around, like, hey, do you know of this woman walking around? Is she a ghost? Have you seen her? Did you ask people around where you live?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Okay.
When I got to know people, because at that time I was a social butterfly, but I had to get. I think at that time I had to get the feel of people, because I was meeting more and more Hawaii people.
Mm-hmm.
My first encounters was meeting more and more Hawaii people that were stationed there, or that lived there many, many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
So when I really got to know the Hawaii people, because some of these Navy wives and some of the DOD, the Department of Defense, the government contractors that's been there for several years, the Hawaii people,
Mm-hmm.
those longtime Hawaii people that are married to Japanese or part Japanese told me that Japan has so much history, so much death, so much wars, so much suicide. Yokosuka Navy base, which prior to Yokosuka becoming a Navy base, a seafarer, which, so for those viewers who've never been to Japan, let me just give you a brief gist or a brief description of Yokosuka Navy base. So Yokosuka Navy base is like the biggest Japanese fleet, the biggest American and Japanese fleet on Japan.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's where all the Navy ships are. I think they have submarines there now too. I could be wrong. But anyways, it's a big base, and it sits along Tokyo Bay, where you could see, Tokyo Bay, and in the distance you could see Yokohama across Tokyo Bay, and you could see Chiba Prefecture across the bay too. And then Yokosuka Navy Base is actually 20 minutes south from Yokohama, taken by train, local train. And let's see, and then you got Mount Fuji. You could see Mount Fuji on a clear morning as well too. So the history is basically World War II, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was like a clan. There was like I forgot the name, something to do with Tokugawa shogunate government.
Mm-hmm.
And they go back to Edo period, which is like 1600 to 1800. And I know that what I learned there was from the admiral of the base, that just from all the ones that's been on Japan a long time telling me, because of my experiences with the obake or the ghosts,
Mm-hmm.
was samurai. All the samurai, there was so much samurai that roamed Yokosuka. There was so much wars.
As far as you know, have there been, because the samurai spirits are very much a ingrained part of even the culture. A brief explanation of what I'm talking about. In Tokyo, Japan, there is a very well-known case of a samurai warrior, the ghost of a warrior appearing in the midst of Tokyo. Bam, right there. So that's how strong the past is. That's That's the fingerprint of a haunting, is the history behind it. So, on that base, were there, as far as you know, or did you read about it later on, that there were sightings of samurai spirits over there?
Oh yeah. My husband's former shipmate, his sailors. Well, he worked. Thank God he wasn't on the ship back then. We were spoiled in Yokosuka. He was working on land. Yeah, shore duty, as they call it.
Mm-hmm.
So his shipmates, who were married to Japanese,
Mm-hmm.
and they lived off base, far away from base. One of his shipmates actually lived facing, like you look out his lanai. We've been at his house once, and you see the graveyard
Oh,
all around
lovely.
the mountain.
Yeah.
So he lived off base. I forgot what part of Kanagawa Prefecture he lived. But anyway, so he said something about feeling summarized or something like that, summarized. And then this other this other auntie I danced hula with, we considered her like a kumu, but she was not really a kumu. She was like an alaka'i,
Mm-hmm.
because she got alaka'i in by Mapuana de Silva, kumu Mapuana de Silva. And anyway, so this auntie lived with her husband, who worked as a government contract in GS. Sorry, he was a GS worker
Mm-hmm.
for many years on Japan. They've seen, because they're Buddhists, so they've seen samurai, mostly samurais there throughout Japan. Um, there were other accounts of sailors there that I rarely got to know. But they would, at that time, I wasn't really trying to listen to all this, because at that time in Yokosuka, early part of Yokosuka, I was still scared. And I was more, just for the first year, I was more in tune with the Christianity. So I was kind of blocking all that out, though I was respecting it. I just didn't want to invite it into my life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wait, hold on.
I don't know,
What did you not want to invite into your life?
the ghost.
Yeah. Well, I don't think
I'm
average run of the
sorry.
mill people are like, have a sign out front of the door saying all ghosts welcome, come right on in, haunt away. Or but I understand. So later on, you're saying in life you found a way to invite certain spiritual elements into your
Yes,
world. Okay, that's good. Okay,
I
just clearing that
yeah.
up. Okay.
So it was interesting that here and there, I would just hear from all these sailors on
Mm-hmm.
Yokosuka Navy base, just here and there, that they can sense, they can feel. And I didn't understand that at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I was oblivious to this kind of I was just,
You were
I'm
blocking it out, right? You were just blocking it all out, right?
or I just didn't understand like mediums
Mm-hmm.
and all that at that time, or like those, they were probably mediums. They were probably gifted to see, or they probably had their third eye open, and I didn't understand any of that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't speaking like that, but they were just speaking like they could sense them, they could feel them, they could see them. It came to their dreams. Some of the Navy sailors I remember speaking to at parties, the Hawaii parties I would get together at. They would all be talking like just small kind, just speak a little bit about it, and they'll just laugh it out. They'll just change subject, because I guess they get spooked out, that the samurais come to their dreams or something like that. So they saw in their dreams the samurai roaming free throughout our Navy base, throughout our land.
Uh-huh. That's interesting. So definitely there was, hauntings show themselves in different ways. I just got through, what was it, last night? I was telling you folks something happened at 3 a.m. The ghosts have a way of working themselves into your dreams, and whether they're trying to indirectly find a way to speak, or they're just there because it's just convenient. That's a different way to haunt people. So this base had a lot of people experiencing dreams with the
Yeah.
samurai and everything else. That's very interesting.
And
Now,
not just the samurai.
huh?
So I started becoming more open minded to things. Well, before I became more open minded, like I wanna just say that I let go a lot of the prisoner, the slavery mentality kind of a thing. I want to say by 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say by early 2006. Okay, me and my husband, we experienced our second spirit encounter,
Mm-hmm.
a haunting encounter. So we were driving. I want to say, so my baby was born in January in Yokosuka.
Right.
And I also had a spiritual encounter with that too, but we can talk about that another time.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was we were driving from the main base, from the housing area to get to the main base where all the ships are, yeah, all the Navy ships. So it's, like I said, the vast base. You need a car to get around. So when we were driving, we was leaving the housing side. There was a small tunnel, like that. The tunnel, the one, I don't know what it's called. The one on the H1 when you're leaving the Nivet side and you're going to the H1 heading right before Like, heading townbound.
Uh-huh.
That small little tunnel, and it's to the right is Love's Bakery.
Yes.
Okay. It's pretty much shorter than that. It's smaller than that, but to me that's our smallest tunnel on island. I don't know. That's how I see it. But anyway, so it's a small little tiny one-way tunnel. Okay, tiny, dark, everything. So we went through that tunnel to get through. It was like a cut through of a mountain, a small little mountain, to get from the housing side to get to the shipyard side, or the ship side, because we were going to go see the sumo. So the sumo wrestlers were actually came to our base to visit us in February 2006. So as we were driving through that tunnel, strange things started to happen to our car. All the lights started to flicker. Everything started to flicker. And I was gazing out. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just gazing out of the passenger seat. So the passenger seat is the left side. The driver's seat is the right side. So my husband was driving. And I was just gazing out, and I'm like, "Hey, Fred, all the lights are going off and on." And he goes, "I know." And then I could have sworn he said he wasn't controlling the car. Because right there, off the steering wheel, and we were going slow, because it's a, you don't want to get busted in Japan. By the base police. You don't even know if you'll get kicked out of Japan, yeah? So anyway, so
no one's driving. Okay.
And I remember he goes, look. And I was like, oh my God, I wanted to freak out, like cry. And the whole the dashboard, the exterior light, everything started to flash. And my son, my oldest son, who was elementary at that time, I think he was a kindergartner, he was like, "What's going on?" We're like, don't worry, everything's fine. Everything's going to be fine. As soon as we exit the tunnel, it all stopped. Everything was okay.
What is it about tunnels and ghosts? I swear, and I know that
I found out why.
There's several tunnels I think in Japan that have that are haunted. What was the reason?
Okay, so I did my research.
I would too.
Since I'm getting to speak to more and more people, meet more Navy friends, like those from Hawaii and those that just became our friends and everything through other Hawaii Navy friends and all that. So there were a lot of people on base that went to the library and did research. They went into the archive, and they were wondering why things were so haunted on the beach, even while they're at work. And they found out, besides the samurai, they found out during World War II and before World War II, I want to say World War I, too, in preparation for World War II, there were Navy military that some actually killed themselves. I guess it was an honor or something, I don't know. And one particular that this one Navy guy and another Hawaii guy did the research on. They both found out, they don't know each other. They both found out that it was a Japanese military member that right before or around World War II, he suicided himself and it was something shame or something because they lost the war or something like that, and he killed himself in the tunnel. But yeah, I don't know if the tunnel was built then. He hung himself or something. Something happened, but that's who they say haunts the tunnel. And they would see him. There's been encounters with other people, other wives, other Japanese maintenance that would tell me, that would come to my house and tell me on their phone stuff. They would see him, oh, bate. They said, oh, bate. Oh, bate. Hi. Yeah, they said that they would see the Japanese military man, and he would just be walking, just minding his own business, walking on the side of the tunnel. The tunnel was like so small. Dang, Flintstone car inside it. Like, it's just it's like this long little inches of walking, for like foot walking on the side of the tunnel, inside the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
So lot of military wives, lot of God, I've heard of all these encounters. That's how much I've talked to people. A lot of military wives, a lot of military Navy sailors, a lot of Japanese workers seeing this Japanese ghost, and they told me, "Hey, your story, that history is accurate because that's who they saw in the tunnel."
Yeah, sometimes I kind of wonder too, especially with in the past when suicide will affect, unfortunately, some of our lives. We'll know someone who took their life, and unfortunately, I know a few who have done that as well. And I kind of wonder about that whole transition from our world into the spirit world. How would that affect them? And I think that it is such. Look at Ju-on and all these stories about Japan. The way the hauntings really become so spooky is the absolute, what I would consider to be the impact that it made in the place that they died, and that energy that I think it's created from that type of death. It is absolutely created. It's not just a residual. There's something more to it that's going on. It could be the rage and the sorrow, and we don't know how that plays out on the other side. And that's why I think that place you're talking about that's haunted, what they're experiencing probably is that man's emotions and everything else involved. What do you think about that?
I believe, and that's why Obake, I believe that all the hunting I have experienced on Japan for 7 years there, oh, it's a lot. And or just my friends and my former neighbors. And what right before we moved to Japan,
Uh-huh.
where I grew up, I believe my Hawaiian and Chinese ancestors that are probably laid to rest on Kukui Gardens grounds. Because Kukui Gardens history here on Hawaii, where I grew up, it used to be like I'm going to say it wrong, a Chinese, oh God, I want that Chinese concentration camp. Sorry, ancestors.
Japanese
What is it called?
Japanese
It was
concentration.
Chinese. It was a Chinese one. It was
They
a
had one? I
Chinese.
didn't know they had one.
Yeah, it was some kind of it was something. I forgot
We're
what they
we're
called that.
in Hawaii. We're known for the Japanese concentration camps. This is new.
Yeah. So they had something. It's not called concentration camp, but it was something. It was like a not plantation, but it was like a Chinese something. I can't remember the name right now. I'm so emotional right now. And also predating their time, Hawaiian, or was it predating their time? Hawaiians were buried there, and people were buried there because of the smallpox.
Yeah, that was around 1851 or so. Correct.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting. Okay.
So yeah, let's just take a moment to think about.
So, sorry. So that's why I see that as, I guess they came to me for me to later on understand and have like an open mind and open setting and understanding that they're buried there, they're laid to rest, and they don't want anybody coming there to disturb their peace.
Did you at any time feel that those particular spirits were trying to communicate with you in any way?
Which one?
The Japanese ones. I mean, that's. Although you know what, I don't know if I want the type that you described communicating with me, but yeah, I think that's just a way of seeking help. So.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. Um, I I had another experience where me and my husband actually saw on Yokosuka Navy base, and this would be our final seeing a spirit. Um, we actually we were both like his parents and his nephew, his little nephew,
Mm-hmm.
were visiting us on the coast. They came from Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta, Georgia area, and they flew in 12 hours to visit us. And it was during winter. It was like around February, March. So it was like we had surges, like not surges, flurries. There you go, snow flurries.
Right.
Yokosuka around Tokyo area, it doesn't snow like how it was when we were in northern Japan. Yeah, we had the Siberia weather. But it was long story short. So that night around, me and my husband meant to go to the commissary, and then we went grocery shopping, and then we ended up just doing a lookout. We went to the lookout on base where you could see, you park along Tokyo Bay, and in a distance towards your not left, but like towards flat diagonal to your left side,
Right.
you could see Tokyo, the huge Ferris wheel, everything in the distance. Like, it was beautiful. It's all lit up neon colors. So it was like going to the Pali Lookout or going to the Tantless. There you go. But we're not on a mountain. We're all ocean level, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So we were there, and we was in a dark area away from housing, minutes away from civilization on Navy base. And we were along a dark, huge soccer field next to us, okay? And we're facing the Tokyo Bay. Right there, we saw a vintage looking woman. She was pale, lighter than me. I need the sun. So anyway, she was paler than me. And she was wearing looked like 1970s vintage or 1970s clothes. It
Mm-hmm.
was like cotton, like those cotton type of fuzzy type of. It was like a tube top, and she wore like those. It reminded me of those sports kind of shorts. I don't know. I used to wear it in the '80s, the early '80s. It's like a jogger shorts, but it's short and has like the straight down, and it's like real short, almost like yeah, it's real short. She wore that, dude. It was like 17 degrees. 17 degrees. I was layered, 4 layers. Hawaii girl, 4 layers. My husband 2 layers because he lived in Japan before. And we were in the car with the heater on, and she was walking barefoot, walking like this, like, and
Oh,
blonde
jeez, for crying out
hair,
loud.
like vintage hairdo. Okay, she was tall, very beautiful. Well, whew, her eyes were like saucers, and she was like walking so calmly, just walking barefoot, 17-degree weather on our base, in dark, in middle of nowhere. And it was like 11 o'clock at night. And my husband's like, you see her? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, you know what? It's time to go. And I remember when we were trying to slowly book it out of there because I'm like, okay, let's not make a scene because if she really is a person, I don't want to like scare her. Or I don't know, maybe she needs help, you know? So I
Mm-hmm.
remember rolling down my window. So remember I said the left side is the passenger. So we're actually like backing out, okay? The right side is the driver's side. She's on my left side. That woman stops. She's watching us as we're backing out. And she's like facing towards, she's facing this way. Our car was like this. She's facing this way, straight ahead like how I am. And our back of our car was facing her. And she slowly turned, looking at us. And we were trying to reverse, and she just disappeared.
Woo! Okay, let's just hit the pause button on that. D Wiz. You know, one of the things that really just for myself, and that's why I love talking to people like you and
Dove short.
other people
That's
that
what
have.
it's called. Dove short. My
Yeah,
sister. Oh, that's not. I don't know if that's my sister. Yeah, dove short.
yeah. So that's why I like talking to you guys because you share your experiences, and then it's an interesting type of show. I think where, for me at least, the format is here's this person, ghost hunter is what they call them, but I'm not. But working in the field of ghosts, interviewing people that have had their experiences, and what really kind of blows my mind when I hear stuff like you said about this. By the way, that expression on your face that you did just now was so on point. You should be doing movies. You should be you should be in
You know what?
movies. You should do
I
ghosts.
know.
That's the only thing you should do is ghosts. I mean, I swear you kind of nail it with that. But what makes me
No.
wonder.
I wanted to do their haunted house. Actually, I did the haunted house in northern Japan, like dressed up as a ring girl kind of a thing,
Oh, you
and I
probably did
wanted
it.
to
You,
make like the.
oh, you probably see you do that very well. You should
You
get
guys
paid.
know how to break dance, right?
You should get paid for that. But what really, I don't know if you ever, because you saw this, and you witnessed this, you saw what you did, and it kind of reminded me of the story that Joe put. I don't know if Joe's still watching. He shared a story at Halloween about a faceless woman up at Old Pully Drive, where a lot of stuff happens. But it kind of stays in your head after. Like what you just said to me, it's like as you were saying it, it's like what? This isn't just um, a isolated incident. You think about that. She is probably walking that damn road every single night, and the reason why she turned and looked at you is like, oh, finally, some company, someone recognizes me, or something like that. And that's the thing about spirits too. They're just really weird looking at times, really strange, especially in Japan. But thank you for making me have insomnia for this evening because I'm going to be thinking about that woman with the big eyeballs walking in the cold and doing whatever she did. I kind of got an impression the
Yeah.
way you described her. And forgive me, spirit, if you're listening. But was
Oh
she a
God,
was
I
she a
thought they
was
were
she,
from Japan.
no
I
was was
know
she,
they were from Japan.
no was she a lady of the evening? That's a nice way of saying it. Was she a lady of the evening? Was she killed in that area and they buried her body or something? And
Yeah,
that
she was vintage.
yeah, I'm just saying. I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
She was vintage, and I try to get answers about her from Japanese workers.
Mm-hmm.
I even talked to. I remember speaking to
Because
a
that's
Japanese.
Obaki, what you just described.
Our fire, yeah, our firefighters on base was actually Japanese. So I remember asking one that spoke real good English, excellent English, and he said, no, we don't. I don't remember seeing any limits like that. I mean, there's probably you sure not a drunk sailor. I'm like, no.
A
You can
drunk
tell she's
sailor
from
wearing dove shorts. Yeah.
yeah, because people were asking me that. You sure it's not like maybe that's what I was thinking. Maybe she's drunk, but it was 17 degrees out,
Mm-hmm.
and she was in the dove shorts, in the tube top, the fuzzy tube top, and barefoot, and she wasn't freezing. She wasn't shaking nothing. She was just walking casually.
Well, there you go again, Dee. That plus the one thing that just strikes
Oh
at all
yeah,
that just doesn't make sense is that she just disappeared. Oh, and by the way,
yeah.
Faye just
She's a
asked
nurse. They
asked.
believe she's a nurse from World War II.
Well, okay, Faye just asked, where did this happen? Misawa.
Yokosuka Navy Base. Yokosuka Navy Base, Kanagawa Prefecture.
Mm-hmm. Did most of all your experiences? I mean, did you have any experiences outside of the base at all? You're smiling, Dee.
Dancing hula.
You're
Dancing hula.
dancing hula. Okay, let's talk about that a bit. Maybe that'll lighten up the mood because that's some pretty intense
No.
stuff that you've shared some pretty crazy stuff.
Touch my heart. Like, oh my God, am I still alive?
I hope so. I hope you're still alive because if not, I'm interviewing a ghost right now, which is always something that I wanted to do. But go on, continue.
So, so anyways, I started dancing hula because I needed to lose baby weight.
Uh-huh.
So I started dancing hula again, got into it. You gotta understand, I haven't touched hula in years, especially living here on Oahu. I haven't touched it in years because I don't know. I got kidnapped by aliens. So I don't know what happened to me. I was actually a beautiful dancer, hula dancer.
Okay,
And
pause 1 second here. 1 second. And
yeah,
so sorry, Sassy Mom 63. I don't know who you are, but I know you've been sharing your comments, and I appreciate you doing so. I don't know if you know who
that's
that
my
is.
sister.
Okay,
That's
sh-
my sister.
she said when I was asking about your experiences, she says she had lots in Japan. She had lots. And when she said lots, it was like lots. So I have to acknowledge that. But continue with your hula thing, and then we'll kind of go into some of the lots that your sister is talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh my God, my sister. That's my eldest sister.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
um, yeah. So dancing hula in Japan started in 2006, early 2006, because that couple I told you about earlier, the husband worked as our government worker, GS worker, and his wife was half Japanese, half Native American, and she loved both worlds, and she was respectful to our Hawaiian culture and to the Japanese indigenous culture, yeah, the Ainu and the Japanese culture and the Okinawan culture. So anyway, they lived several years on Japan. So they rounded all us Hawaii Navy wives up.
Mm-hmm.
So we started to dance, and when we danced hula on Japan, on base and off post, we got paid for it. We got paid in Japanese money, in yen. So we would get paid between pretty much 3,000 yen, which is $30, between, I say, yeah, 3,000 yen, $30 to pretty much about 30,000 yen, which was $300. We would get paid for just doing one 30-minute show. Each of us got paid that much, but mostly it would be in the hundreds. So anyway, sorry, I don't need. I'm trying to remember everything. Don't mind. I'm not trying to brag. I'm not. So that was my job, and we did a lot. So we did a lot of gigs. And now, when I dance hula, okay, especially being on Japan, and being that I was homesick for Hawaii, and that that's when I started to really love home. Back then, I couldn't wait to get off the island. I don't know. We were just sick of everything that was going wrong with the island, right? In, so this was 2006. So, but I loved home. I didn't realize how much I respected home and how much I loved home, and how much more I wanted to be closer to my Hawaiian culture. Yeah, I brought it all with me, everything, and knowing that it's a spiritual Japan, and knowing that the people there are so welcoming, so loving, so friendly. So I brought it all with me in my hula. Everything that I danced about came with me. My ancestors, knowing that I met my Hawaiian and Chinese ancestors before we moved to Japan, I felt like they were with me, even my grandmothers. So I remembered the first time I danced, my Hawaiian great grandmother's mele that she composed, Kuhio Bay. Kuhio Bay was also sung by Brother Israel Kamaka Viva Ole and also by Ho'okena.
Yeah, I'm
And
familiar with it. Good song.
my great grandmother was, I think, Mary Kaliana Bishaw.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way I actually choreographed the dance for my hula sisters, the
Uh-huh.
wives, and we had the live musicians with us, right? So it was beautiful. So when we did that dance, I kid you not, I felt hands, arms, hands guiding me when I did the dance. I felt something touching me when I would do all my motions, everything, the rainbow falls, everything. I felt hands touching me, guiding me, or dancing with me. And that's what I would be feeling every time I danced off base and on base.
Is this spirits of Hawaii or Japanese spirits, you think?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. I wish I had a medium at my side. I wish I had people that were gifted to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what, Obake, I'm going to be honest with you. I spent so many time off base, even by myself, or with my hula sisters, or with my family, and with other Hawaii people, other Hawaii military people. So I makes me wonder if I've actually ever seen physically a ghost, a spirit, because I've been in deserted areas, not meaning to look for anything, or just peaceful areas or whatever, nature, sometimes by myself. So, but that's the only time that I on it, because I would be mind over matter. I don't think like, oh, am I gonna see a ghost or anything? I don't think like that. But only when I danced hula, every time, which was a lot. We did a lot of gigs. I would always mind over matter myself, psych my mind, put myself in this realm that I'm connecting spiritual culture of Japan, historic Japan, back to ancient Hawaii, back to all those very places. Those composers sang about, like my great-great-grandmother. I would visualize myself there, back at home. So it makes me wonder, what was that would be guiding my hands and everything while I'm dancing hula? I felt it. I felt hands. I felt fingertips. I felt something pressing, not sexual, but I felt something pressing on my back. Like it would be at ease, like or like hugging whenever I'll be dancing, or when I'm ending my dance or about to dance. And I'm like, whoa, sometimes it throws me off, And I'm in the middle of like, I'm facing like, I'll be at like a Japanese festival or something, and like a summer festival or their Sakura festival. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't screw up now. I'm in front of like hundreds of people. It's like, oh no. But I would feel that. I would feel warm embrace when I'm dancing hula. And that was so freaking cool. That was so cool. That's why it was hard for me to leave Japan.
I understand. I also think that the things that we do in this world can, because I just did a show with Jamie Whitaker about helping ghosts and everything. I believe that the things that we do in this life can somehow maybe help some of those spirits as well. You described a woman that had huge eyes walking around in the dark. I mean, everyone's intrigued by that. Oh man, that was scary. Is she always there and so on? But I think that there's another.
Nobody's seen her. Yeah, nobody's seen her.
Yeah.
Nobody's seen her. Yeah.
But I'm thinking that doing stuff like what you do, and other things that people have done in the past, may in some way even help them. So it could in fact be the spirits of Japan, and plus their connection or their love of Hawaii as well, that could be taking place there. What I wanted to add on to that is, when I was using the flyers or putting out the flyers for your show, you were talking about some kind of experience that happened, and that someone else was there and said that they when you were talking about that, or they had experienced it as well, because I wasn't sure, that they had something they wanted to share with you. You remember that? You sent me a message like that. Really?
Oh shoot! What? Can you drag my mind back to that?
Yeah, it was on your Facebook Messenger. I took it and I used that for your for your flyers.
My clip factor, my clip finger advertisement.
Yeah. It was one of those, like you were experiencing something, and then someone else was there, and they were going to share something with you about your experience. If you can't remember this now, then I will talk to you about it when we're done with the show, and maybe we can.
Sorry, everyone. Usually when I get right now, I feel like I just like spiritually took myself to Japan. So I do this a lot, Obake, when I get deep into things, especially passionate about things that I really love, like my hula. When I was dancing hula in Japan, I do this out of body thing. I don't know what it is.
You're right.
I do this out of body thing that sometimes I just forget. Yeah, I forget what I'm doing. I visualize where I'm at. So that's what I'm doing here right now. I know I wrote about when we were in Misawa. I think all those stories I may have written when we were in Misawa already. We moved 14 hours up north, the Pacific coastline, to northeastern mainland Japan, still on mainland Japan. And that's also where the tsunami had hit too, but it didn't come inland as the other. But anyways, Yeah, let's see, because I told you about my former next door neighbor, that Air Force couple that saw that woman that could have been from a funeral or something. I don't know if she was Japanese or what, but the beady eyes, is that the one where she was
Yes,
looking at?
yes, beady eyes, yes.
Okay,
Take
that's
your
another
take
intense
take your time.
story.
Take your time. Don't worry about it. Take your
The
time.
Lord has mercy. Okay. um,
Okay, hold on a second, Jessica. I'll let you know when you can ask Dee a question. And if any of you out there have any questions about Japan and ghosts and what Dee experienced, we'll do that in just a little bit. Okay. Okay, Dee, go on. Yeah, when you're ready,
so
tell me about the beady eyes and everything else that you're
So
talking
just
about.
to get a small little quick, just to run everybody through, just to get there quickly to what you just asked me. So we were stationed on Yokosuka Navy Base from 2005 to 2008. Oh, right when the Sakura blossoms are blooming.
Oh, nice. Yes, they're
So
blooming right now. Right now, they're
yeah,
blooming in Japan. Yes.
right now it's a southern. So the southern is feeling it, and then it
Yeah.
goes slowly up to the north because the northern is the last since it's colder longer up there. Yeah. So, anyways, so we drove. We had everything moved. Like, so the Navy, I mean, the Japanese, they came, they packed away all our household goods. So it was there. It got there by the time we got there, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Our household goods. So it took us 14 hours to drive up north in our own Honda Step Wagon van, the Japanese brand, to drive all up along the coastal. So we went through all the areas that got hit hard by the tsunami. So we drove through all that in 2008 to get to Misawa Air Base, which is in Aomori. But of course, Japanese law, just in case there's anybody in the military, high rank, watching, not Japanese law, but military law, Navy law, or their regulation is that the military service member or the family member, if you're driving or doing road trips, you always have to take breaks. So we did. We did a sleepover 5 hours north from Yokosuka base, Sendai. So we slept in Sendai overnight, and then we did stopovers in every single prefecture. So it was pretty cool to see, where all the tsunamis had hit, everything before it hit. Anyway, so we moved to Misawa Air Base, which is a part of mostly Japanese, yeah, a Japanese Air Force base and also American Air Force base. And then being that we're Navy, there was like over 1,000 of us Navy sailors and families, more than that were stationed there on Misawa Air Base. And then there was a small percentile of American Army soldiers stationed there with their families as well.
Mm-hmm.
So predominantly, there was half of the base was Japanese and the other half was American. Yeah. So Misawa is a big base, okay? And Misawa in northeast Japan on the Pacific coast, yeah, it is. It has a very dark, dark history. Okay. Samurai, the last. So you guys saw the movie The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise?
Yes.
Um, and it had to do with the Konami clan and all that. They used to be home to that. That used to be just like how the Hawaiians here in Hawaii. That's how I visualized it. That was their home. Okay, they took care of it. It was beautiful. I mean, that's why it's so beautiful. I just want to say that. I believe the Japanese people took good care, of the nature, the land, everything, just like Hawaiians. But anyways, also it was a dark history, not just because of the samurai, but because of World War II. And, so it was considered one of the most dangerous. What does it say? This is what I was told. It was one of the. It's not dangerous, but it's basically like a dramatic and traumatizing because it has traumatizing death on that base. Okay. Um, my God. So basically, what everybody, all my former neighbors, what I felt, people that worked there felt, was basically all the history that, from modern history to
Mm-hmm.
historic history,
Mm-hmm.
what they felt. All that came back alive. And for some reason, It is more intense. They are more alive there on the Misawa Air Base compared to flipping Yokosuka Navy Base. What I experienced on the Yokosuka Navy Base was nothing compared to what I experienced on the Misawa. So you asked me about that incident with my former neighbor's van. Okay.
That's the
Former
one.
neighbor
That's the one.
has home. Let's put it this way, because that's another question that I gotta wait for Obaki to ask me. She pretty much saw the grudge in her house, okay?
Oh, oh,
Yeah, she was my next door neighbor. Okay, so she was Filipina, Air Force wife, and then her husband is Latino, so he was Air Force. They're still there in the South. They still live there.
wow.
And they were my neighbors from 2008 till spring 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So, all the time she'll come to my house, ask me for help, and I'll be like, I'm not letting you in my house because I believe in attachment. And I didn't want her attachment to jump to me and my sons. Because of all the ghosts, all the spirits that I was seeing and that other people were seeing in Yokosuka, I didn't even touch what my friend saw in Yokosuka. That was scary. But anyway, because of that, I was warned by a lot of Japanese people in Yokosuka and a lot of my Hawaii friends that lived many, many years on Japan that were married to Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
They warned me, they told me, because I told them about my former next door neighbor when we moved to Misawa. I'm like, dude, she keeps coming to me. I don't know. She wants my help. I don't know how to help her. And all I can do is just pray for her, you know? And I was scared to touch her, everything. I'm sorry, I sound like that. You know, I was scared. I was really scared. I was ignorant. But they told me not to have strong contact with her and not to bring her in my house and don't go in her house. That's what I was warned. So I was very aloha to her, very, very aloha, because she was the sweetheart. So that one night you're talking is actually right before we moved out of Japan to move to San Diego. So spring 2012, I just did my last hula show on base at another haunted enlisted club, the E Club, which was next door to the old club, the officers club or the collective club. So I just did my last hula show for over 300 people. I think that was for the Asian Pacific Festival. And they wanted me to come to share my hula before we moved to Japan. And I just experienced a haunting experience that night, and then I was headed home. So right when I got home, that's when our former next door neighbor, she and her husband was already outside with my husband. And they were in the hallway. So where we lived on Misawa Air Base was those earthquake-proof towers. It's 9 stories, and there's like 8 residents on one floor. And it's like an earthquake-proof. So, you know, when a huge earthquake hit Japan in 2011, it only just had cracks in the exteriors, nothing else. So anyways, I come home, okay? So I'm already off. I'm like feeling aloha, aloha, aloha. Yeah, because I just danced hula. I'm feeling revived. Okay, I'm stress-free. I'm like, what's up? Even though my heart was pounding after having another ghostly encounter in the E Club. Okay, so what happened was I get home, they're all outside, and I'm like, oh, hi guys. You know, they said, oh, they saw the flowers adorned in my hair, everything, because of my hula show. And then they show us their cell phone. So he says, Dee, come. So I look and I'm like, what is that? This was my first time seeing a ghost picture in Japan. And so I know that they were trying to sell their van, the Japanese van they had for so many years, okay? And when the wife and the husband were individually taking pictures, the interior, the exterior of their van, they captured something inside of the van. So like I said, the driver's seat, right, is our American side passenger seat, right? So when the husband was in the driver's seat, trying to take from different angles, from the driver's seat to the back part of the inside of the van, there was nobody else, and his wife was outside already. His wife was outside of that. When he snapped that picture, and actually when they were looking through, they dropped their phone. And that was the only picture that had her in there. They saw something else, but I guess it was developing to become an entity or a person. Well, when he came up to our floor, which they're our next door neighbor, my husband was just to clean out our shared storage room that we share with all the neighbors, so we can get the Japanese pack out to come and pack up all our stuff and get rid of all their stuff that we don't want in the storage room. Dude, oh, I wish she didn't show us that, but I wish she showed it to me. They said, look what's in our van. They said, we're sorry to do this to you, but we trust you and Dee. Look what's in our van. And my husband said, babe, I wanted to wait till you got home. My husband was not afraid of anything, but this one he was afraid of. We all saw a woman, an old woman. She had beautiful skin. Oh my, pristine skin, flawless. An old woman. You can tell she was old because she had grayish hair. She wore a black lacy long dress. She had a black veil over her face. She was pale as heck. She was kind of bony structured face, but she had beautiful skin. She had a big fancy hat, but the veil was over her face. And all you could see from her was that she had flawless skin. She had grayish hair, short, kind of curly, and beady eyes. Her beady eyes was like just zeroed in to the length of the camera. And she leaned far enough, like this close enough. That's how we could see all her features. Looking like that. And her beady eyes was glowing, was like so bright, and it was glowing straight at my friend's husband and straight at the camera lens. Looking just like that. Dude. I knew not to show fear, and I've always been told that because of what I've experienced through my best friend's cell phone of the Hawaiian and Chinese ancestors that came to us where I grew up here on the island right before we moved to Japan, I was told not to keep those kind of pictures and you're not supposed to display your fear in front of it because it will jump to you and it will stay with you. I know that this chick, sorry, Ken, let's speak like a local girl. This chick, this wife, she's still on my Facebook, by the way. We still keep in touch. She has attachments, and I was scared. I was scared when I saw. My husband, who doesn't show fear, was scared.
Hold on a second.
He's like,
so this woman that you're talking about is she was the one that you're talking about with the eyes and everything like that in the back of the van? That's her.
who?
The spooky lady that you just described, was that that lady you're talking about with the attachments? That was her, or is that like a legit ghost?
That's a legit ghost.
Okay, that's a legit ghost.
She was not supposed to be in the van. She was not supposed to be in the van.
Okay.
They bought that van brand new.
Mm-hmm.
They had that for several years. They were in Japan for many years. They preceded us. And they're still there.
I'm kind of wondering maybe if the spirit is attached to the van, maybe, or something. That's kind of weird.
Well, she experienced where auntie and uncle house used to be in the back part of our gate. Because we have two gates on the Sawa base. The back part of the gate, we call it White Pole Road, where auntie and uncle lived. There was a hotel back there. So they were staying there. Actually, she was staying there by herself before they moved onto our base, because they were living off base for a long time. And then they moved onto base before we moved there. And he said that hotel, that's when everything started happening when she stayed in that hotel. That hotel had so much stuff going on. But I remember asking her, did you do anything disrespectful in the Philippines? Did you do anything disrespectful here in Japan? And she goes, why would I do that? And she's such a soft, delicate soul. And her husband is very quiet, just like my husband, very down to earth, very chill. Um, yeah.
I just got. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just. Ugh. Tell me the name of that road again that you just said. What was the name of the road you just said? Say it again, please.
White Pole Road. Like
I just got blasted by something when you said that. I just got, and I had to stop you because of that. I got blasted. I don't know if it's, because it doesn't even sound threatening. You know, I don't know if there's something that when you mentioned it, that it kind of like knew that it was being talked about. I don't know if there's any connections with hauntings there. I had to stop you for a second because I just got blasted really, really hard when you said that. So just give me, not your fault. A second to compose myself.
I need to compose myself.
Oh yeah, you've shared a lot of crazy stuff tonight, and trust me, I'm very glad that you did share some of the crazy stuff with me. Um, but I have to, do me a favor, yeah, Facebook me later on and write out what the road is called, and I'm gonna see if I can.
White Pole Road. So White Pole Road.
Yeah.
So we call the back of our back. That's like our back gate. We call it the back gate. So it takes you from, because we have two gates. We have the front gate, the main gate, and then we have the back gate. That closes early in the evening around that time. But the hotel was back there, off base. Japanese hotel, very old. I've never been there. I just seen the exterior of it. I don't know the name of it.
Whew, okay. I'm still feeling it. It's just really, you know what it is too, yeah? Hawaii, and I think we're some of the best. I'm not trying to be prideful. I think a lot of people here are some of the best storytellers. You obviously are one of them. And depending on how good you tell the story and everything else, I've said it before, then things will react to that. So for some reason, in the midst of what you just said, there was a blast of energy coming out from mentioning that particular place. So don't mind me, it's starting to go away, but I feel this creepy sensation. And it's happened on this show, D. We've had people talk about things, and then the atmosphere changes. Some of the people watching the show will talk to me afterwards about it. I had my friend Jay talk to me about stuff with some of the people that are on, and so it's. I just wanted to say that and continue because this is a crazy story. I'm pretty sure you're not done yet. I'm also pretty sure that there'll be a part two to this interview if you don't mind having one with me. Go on, continue with what you were saying.
A lot of intense incidents. But because Misawa was the worst. Misawa was the worst.
Mm-hmm.
She told me that the wife, the Filipino Air Force wife, told me that so I wasn't looking like this. I wasn't, honestly, I was not. I was like this. I was acting gangsta, like old school gangsta. I was like, okay, wow. All right, well, we just gotta pray. Let's pray. And I remember praying, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no. Like, I just don't want it. I don't want your attachment. I remember praying to Jesus, God, and then praying to my ancestors to block that thing and whatever else thing follows her, to not allow any attachment to come to me or my family. Because I was very protective of my house, my family at that time, living on Japan. But damn, she did say that she saw her. She saw her one time. One of the times when she came to my house, out of the many times she came to out of the other few times she came to my house, she heard ripping. She heard, I think she was cooking something in her kitchen. I mean, she's Filipino. Filipinos are good cooks, right? So she's cooking something in her kitchen, which was same walls as me, right? Her kitchen, her living room is same walls as our living room, as our kid's bathroom, as our master bedroom, okay? So when she went to go lay down, because she was cooking something that's going to take hours, she went to go lay down for a nap in the living room. She was trying to nap. She heard ripping noises, like paper ripping, all in her storage room. So when you walk in our Misawa Air Force house, right? Uh, to her left was the kitchen. To her right was the storage room.
Okay.
So the storage room is like a big, huge walk-in closet, mind you, with all the shelves. And they had all their papers, like things that they were wrapping all her unbreakable things in. She said, "I was wondering what the hell was that? She thought it was rats or something. We don't get rats on base. I mean, on our housing." So she goes into the storage room. She opens it up, and what she sees, she sees that woman. But this is prior. This was like, I remember this was like in 2009. I think at that time my husband was in Iraq when, and I didn't want nothing to do with her at that time. I'm like, hell no, girl, I'm by myself and my kids, okay? I'm not trying to talk about ghosts right now. I think too much. So 2009, just 3 years prior to them catching her on their phone, that Japanese spirit, older woman, she saw her with the veil, everything, ripping up all her papers, her newspapers, her documents, everything, shredding it up.
Stop. Whew. I keep getting this image in my head of a woman with really interesting looking hair, and I'm not trying to scare my audience or you, but all I hear in my head is, oh, and that just popped out of nowhere. You know, doing the type of stuff that I do, you need to discipline yourself. You need to filter. You need to filter things that try to come at you. And, you know, it could be something that I'm just reacting to and it's just coming through. But then again, you mentioned that road earlier, and that sound is not a very nice sound in my head. And this looks very not like any spirits that I have experienced before. And it's just got this really weird parted in the middle, long hair with an angry face making that sound over and over again. And I try to keep my guards very much so in place. So just give me a moment. Give me a moment, okay? Trust me. Phew. Yeah, I have nothing to gain by this because I'm going to have to deal with this after the program and remove it. So again, things happen when this kind of shows take place on my program. It's not the very first time. And just give me a moment here, okay? Give me a moment. I need to pray. You say the Saint Benedict prayer. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. May the Holy Cross always be my light. May the dragon never be my guide. Step back, Satan. Never threaten me with your vanity. What you offer me is evil. Drink your own poison. And I mean it. Drink your own poison. I can see you in my head. Drink that poison and leave me now, because I promise you, I will pray you away like you've never experienced anything like that before, because I will defend myself. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly hosts, thrust into hell Satan and all evil spirits who wander through the world for the ruin of all souls. Amen and amen and amen.
Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And it's the only thing that'll stop it. Trust me. It's the only thing that'll stop it. And it's starting to go away. But that overwhelmed me. And I want you to continue the story. To my audience out there, my apologies. Absolute apologies for that. And we will continue, okay? Because sometimes the other thing about this too is these type of stories kind of help us when we experience the unusual. And I really appreciate Dee Momilani sharing this stuff. But this is the first time I've ever had that happen. And I'm just a bit shook up. but it's starting to go away. But that was intense. Uh,
Yeah, you can just imagine because she would always my neighbor. I cried because I'm letting out all my fear. I was so strong. I was so strong. I had to put on my kaliki pita. I didn't really have a kaliki pita growing up on this island because how I was raised, but I had to put on this this early '90s gangsta or something to not show the fear while living next door to her and her coming to me all the time. So when she told me she saw her, that same woman, because after she told me when she had the phone in her, the night of 2012, just 1 week, or was it, yeah, it was 1 month prior to us moving out of Japan in spring 2012. My last hula show I just came home for, she she's the one who said, Dee, remember that's the same old lady that I saw that was ripping up all my documents, everything, all our documents,
did she
all
look
our
like that?
huh?
Did she look like that?
She says it was her. It was same veil. She don't know why she's wearing a
Yeah.
veil. Same dress, same hat, same beady eyes,
Oh,
gray
okay.
hair. That's
Yeah.
how she
Yeah.
could tell it was an old woman, gray hair, and just ripping up, ripping up. She looked mad. Like she was just ripping up everything. So this wife is known to keeping everything clean, everything orderly. You know, she's like a clean freak. Um, she messed up everything. It was like everything was in shreds. And I remember her coming to my house, showing me all the things that were in shreds. I'm like, you sure you didn't do that? I was trying to understand this. And she's like, she was crying. She was fearful. Every time she came to me, she was fearful. Her husband would beg me for his wife to stay at my house while he is at work on the Air Force. I'm like, oh no, she's coming to my house. Dude, she's coming to my house. I hugging her. I would like air hug her from far away to show my aloha. Like I wasn't being stuck up or high maka maka to her. But dude, I don't know what was that. And she did tell me when she stayed in the hotel, the Japanese hotel, prior to them moving to that house next door to us,
Mm-hmm.
that she believed she picked up a possession.
Oh, wait, hold
So
on 1 second. I just want to read what Joe said. Obaki made me think about Glenn Grant's story shared with him about the lady in a veil outside Kahumano Cemetery. Oh, yeah, dude. To you talk about really spooky, that's a story that not only stays with you, but when you're in the area, in the vicinity, especially at night, that's a creepy place. You can feel her walking around there, and I just needed a break again because I just saw that. This is an incredible looking spirit or whatever it is. It's just got like parted in the middle, very long hair on either side, and the face is very, very angry. And kind of interesting about what Dee Momilani described because you can see the eyes and they're like glowing and angry, and it's got like this really evil smile upon its face. And I never seen nothing like this before, so I'm glad that Joe interjected with a question. But D, continue. I'll deal with this. I will process this, and I will get rid of it. Continue.
Jessica,
Oh, you saw the question from Jessica. Okay, cool.
yeah, I'll answer it. I knew people were going to ask me about that. No, I've never been to the suicide forest, but my cousin has. We'll talk about that after.
Oh, Aokigahara,
Um,
yeah.
my cousin, that's a Japanese businessman there in Japan. But
Mhm.
anyways, yeah.
This is
So when
tough,
she
man. I've
told
never had
me,
an. I'm sorry, I never had an interview like this. This is tough. This is really tough to get through. But continue, my friend.
when that Air Force wife told me, because I had to ask him, like, because you know, us here in Hawaii, right? We know that with the lava rocks and people disrespect, they desecrate. I can't even say the word right now. They disrespect our aina or the land, right? Or they make trouble or something, you know, or do something that is very disrespectful to the land here or anywhere that is sacred, right? We know what's going to happen, right? We've been warned about that by our elders, by people here on Hawaii, right? So I had to ask her. I said, that's why I asked her, like I said earlier, did you do anything disrespectful in the Philippines, growing up in Manila, in the province, and here in Japan? Did you take something you're not supposed to take? Did you go to the sacred grounds you're not supposed to be on? What did you do? And then she told me, while we were eating a bowl of ramen in 2009, she told me, off base, she told me that she was staying outside of our back gate on White Pole Road. There's like that old Japanese hotel. And she told me all kind of haunting. She said it was so scary being there by herself. And her husband was deployed and all that. And she was there. She had to derek her son. I don't know where her son was. He didn't want to stay in the hotel. He felt uncomfortable. And she would hear voices. She would hear, she thought she was going crazy, like mental illness, but it wasn't, because her son felt it, you know? And her husband felt it when he came home from deployment. He didn't want to stay in the hotel. Because that's why they had another apartment. They had another off-base apartment right in the back gate, somewhere back there too. And anyways, it was actually a small house, Japanese house. And so she said she remembered one time many times she would be laying on her bed in the hotel right outside of our back gate. And she'd be laying on the bed and she would feel like something was taking over her body. She'll see that woman. She'll see that old woman. She'll see like that grudge-like woman that she saw in her house next door to me. She would hear all kind of evil laughter around her. She felt like something was trying to enter her and she was pushing it out. Dude.
What's the name of this hotel again?
I don't know the name of it. I don't know. Faye might know. Faye, auntie and uncle lived on that. They had a big, beautiful house. I've never been there. I wish I'd known Faye back then. But her auntie and uncle lived back there in that our back gate.
I just got these words popped into my head. Spoiled land. That's the only thing that popped in my head. And so yeah, phew. Okay, let's take a pause from stories. And if there's anyone that just wants to ask Dee some questions, that'll be great. We're definitely looking at a part two. You said there's even more stuff you experienced, huh? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So we're probably going to be doing. Oshiro Kubu was the road name. Oshiro Kubu. Oshiro Kubu. Yeah.
Oshiro Kubo.
And then there would be.
Interesting. So yeah, they call it. I don't know the Japanese name, but we just know it by the Americanized way that goes back to like I guess World War II, White Pole Road. So Americanized, White Pole Road.
For some reason, it was just.
POL. We call it the POL gate. Does that sound familiar, Faith? POL gate. But yeah, I can just continue. I can go on with it.
Yeah, you will be blowing my mind if you do that. it's kind of blown already. I know as a host, I have to keep myself composed as best as I can when no, trust me. I was the host. I was the host for another a talk show about hauntings in Hawaii on a very famous website, and there were times when we would have conversations, and in the midst of that conversation, like between two people, a third voice would interject itself, and that's scary. You know, if it's like you probably think of something, oh, it's just bleed through from someone else's connection and stuff, but these voices were in step with what we were talking about in the conversation. And of course, the person I was talking to was an incredibly gifted psychic, and I I really miss her presence in the paranormal community. But that's how it can turn out. One time I was doing an interview. It was in a graveyard, and as I was doing the interview in the pitch black dark, I know it's just getting deeper into that miasma of all things that are based on spooky things. But from the tree, there was a tree nearby that is known for suicide, and someone jumped out of the tree, and you can hear their feet hit the ground, boom. And that was way too much for me. That was back in the days where I couldn't really find a place to do a show because of things that were going on. So that's why I'm saying, when we talk like this and we share these type of things, that they're just finding different ways at times to interject. And I'm not saying that that is, but I learned as being a host that I got to really keep myself, you know, level headed. So thank you for
Yeah,
allowing
that's
me.
how I felt. Being next door to her. And then my neighbors above me, my other Air Force neighbors above me, and other neighbors, they all had intense. I was the only one that didn't really have intense stuff in my house.
I believe you. Jessica is saying, Jessica Mink, D, you said you knew someone who visited Suicide Forest, Aokigahara. Did you?
Yes, so my cousin. So he's cousin through marriage. He's half Japanese, half Native American, and he grew up mainly on Japan, Washington State, and
Okay, one second.
here.
Yeah, Joe, thank you so much. Joe is saying, gotta go sleep now. Have a good night, folks. Enjoy these scary experiences. D is awesome! Exclamation point. Yeah,
Yeah,
Aokigahara is a very dark place. Definitely negative energy there. We were talking earlier about suicides and the manifestation of the emotional imprint on our world and probably the carryover to the next world. So I believe Aokigahara definitely would be a good illustrative for all of this. Continue, D. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so according to my cousin, so my cousin is he's a Japanese businessman. He hangs out with the oh, I forgot their names. What do you call those Japanese gangsters?
Yakuza.
Yakuza.
Yeah.
So he was very respected with Yakuza. They respected my cousin. They were respectful. They weren't like all into the gang stuff. He wanted us to hang out with them. I'm like, no, we're not allowed to. We can get kicked out of Japan. We can lose our right to get kicked out of Japan for hanging out with Yakuza. So anyway, he wanted us to meet them, but I was like, hell no. Anyway, so my cousin was a Japanese businessman. He was married at the time to my Hawaiian cousin on my mom's side, who lived in Chiba Prefecture, which was across of Yokosuka Bay,
Yeah.
across of Tokyo Bay.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, he also was an anthropologist. So he studied anthropologist too. So being that he grew up on Japan, he says that haunted forest is not the most haunted forest in, that people think is
Really?
assumed.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been wanting to see Mark. It's so bad, the tiny guy.
Because it's so well known, it's so documented, on
But
YouTube and other programs. Wow.
he's been there. He slept there for one whole weekend.
He what?
He slept there. He went what year was it? I think it was in 2006, 2005, somewhere between 2005 to early 2007. Because I started hanging out with my cousin when we were in Yokosuka Navy base from 2007 till we moved away, 2008. So he had his friends, like all his hardcore Japanese friends from Japan. They would go and they would sleep over in the suicide forest, like way in deep in the suicide forest. And
What
they
a
brought their
hobby.
tents, everything.
Hmm.
And he is like that outdoor adventure guy. He's like one of those Kantaran, speaking local again, one of those Kantaran guys that has no fear, that is no holds bar, and respects Japan ultimately, because that's his homeland, but wanted to experience it. And when they spent the whole weekend there, they didn't see crap. He said the only thing that was off was all their instruments. They bought different kinds of different like electronics and old fashioned kind of instruments for navigation and all that. And I don't know if one of his friends bought the spirit box too. I think he said that. And they didn't pick up anything, but they know they did see throughout their whole walk throughout the park, whatever, however far they can go. It's a gap. I mean, it's the foothills of Mount Fuji, and that's a big forest. But he says that's where a lot of the school children, the businessmen, the wives go, or like young women go to hang themselves, to kill themselves, sadly. But he said actually throughout Japan, it's haunted. And look, what I just told you guys, I've experienced things outside of base and on base.
I'm starting to get creeped out. I feel a man tapping my shoulder, trying to tell me something. So, I mean, the I mean, I believe it, but I would say that Aokigahara's got to be well, well, it well respected because of the tragedy in that place, and also, again, these I mean, just because a group of people go there and they don't experience something, well, they had signs of something going on. I mean, how many times have people gone out to do this legend tripping or otherwise, and their equipments go kind of funny. The equipment gets kind of weird, so that's like a sign of something going on. But
Interesting.
there's no way you can say that. I mean, with that guy and
Yeah,
everything,
sorry
that
I said that, guys. I didn't mean to, but that's what he told me. I'm just saying his quote.
there's
Sorry.
no way. I mean,
I read that, so I
I
can't speak it.
yeah, I know
I
that.
believe it though, Okaki. I believe it with all my heart that it's haunted and it's considered one of the number one. He does go with that being number one, but dude, compared to what I've experienced,
I tell you right now. I can tell you right now, and hopefully one day I get to travel to Japan and stuff. But if you were to go
yeah,
there around dusk and you were to go walking in that forest, something is bound to happen. There's no way you go there unscathed. It's just not possible. It's just there's
yeah,
too many deaths and too many miserable souls that
yeah,
died there. There's no way.
yeah,
And one of the things that I felt sorry for in Aokigahara is that the people that find these bodies, okay,
yeah,
they have to bring it back to the ranger station, and
yeah,
a lot of times they have to keep the body there until someone comes to get the body, and sometimes it's overnight. So
yeah,
I can imagine with that, just that alone, what could come out of that kind of experience.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just that kind of place. But did he mention some of these other locations, or he just said it in passing?
So he took me to one other location that's ranked number two as the most haunted spot on Japan. I tried sharing it on Hawaiian Hauntings, I think back in 2017, and I couldn't find all my pictures. I gotta find all my pictures. It's on a memory card, a small little memory card. I took pictures. He took me there.
I hate that.
So we went to the number two most haunted place on Japan, as it's documented. He told me. Um, it's in Chiba Prefecture, and it's a burnt down pink hotel in 1970. Uh,
Oh, oh,
you heard
okay.
that?
Yes, yes, yes,
Oh,
yes. Oh, yes.
I was in it. I was in it. Oh,
Oh, geez. Yeah, there's videos about it too, and I believe you 110% because these people had some very spooked out scenarios. Some of the dead bodies in Aokigahara often have a book that is very weird. I wonder what was in the book, or if there's a similarity with other books. Dee, we
that's
have we have
that was
hit.
awesome.
I
Because you know
told,
what?
huh?
Being that you all know about the suicide forest,
Yeah,
um, what we know living there on Japan, it's not just the suicide forest. I mean, look what we experienced, and look what people experience living off base in Japan.
right.
Um, when we ride the trains into Tokyo, dude, you know how many times we had to change trains? Like the express trains, the local trains. You know
Mm.
how many times? Because like to get to Tokyo from our Yokosuka Navy base,
Mm-hmm.
which was south of Tokyo, 3 hours. It was like a 3 hour. Depends what part of Tokyo you're going. Tokyo is big. Be, be, blah, blah, blah. What part of Tokyo you're going? Can take 4 hours, 3 hours, because it gets busy with all the business people and the school children. Dude, how many times we had to change trains within 3 years? We lived in Yokosuka Navy base so many times. Why? There was a jumper. There was either a teenager, a businessman, or a Japanese wife killing herself right in front of the train.
Oh, this was
No static.
a consistency
No
that
static.
people. I mean, I've there's a. I guess I'm advertising for them. There's a thing called Japan Ghost Videos, and I know there was one of them that they were filming a train station, and it showed somebody just jump in front of the train. You know,
It's really bad.
or crazy things. If I remember correctly, the train is moving, and you see someone like that, a jumper or someone, right outside of your window, which is I'm telling you, man, Japan has some very scary stuff, you know, and some of the times I believe it's culture. It's all about the culture, you know, and so it just translates directly into the haunting. But um, D, 125 minutes. I told you that once we started talking, it would just bam, it would just escalate. And during the course of this interview, the weirdness of some of these energies and stuff that have come out of it. I wanted to ask you: do you agree to do another show?
Yes, yes, but there's so much more to talk about, not just about Japan, but
Yes. Well, we'll finish up
yeah.
Japan at the beginning of June when we do the season of ghosts. But yeah,
So we got
I need to recover from this. Honestly, need to recover because I don't know how my experiences happen, but you know, when I go out and visit places, I need to recover from that too. But in
okay.
any event, thank you, Dee,
Got
for
used to it. Look at me. Look how the way I'm acting. This is scary. Okay, I sound like I'm sick. I I I I don't know. I guess because I've been there, I've dealt with it. I
hmm
learned to, you know how I seen it, Obake? This is how I put it. Okay. Um, Even though I grew up Catholic, right? Then I switched over to being a Protestant. Then I switched over to being a born again Christian,
hmm
and then I switched over to just being a freelancer.
yeah.
um, I see it as because of me seeing my Hawaiian Chinese ancestors in my best friend's photo here on the island where I grew up before one week before we moved to
Right,
Japan.
right.
I started having dreams about that, premonition dreams. I
D
started seeing.
D, hold that thought.
I thought
Um,
that they're with.
no,
Yeah, so I thought that was I was protected. Sorry,
no,
that's what
no,
I'm
no,
trying to
no, no,
say.
no, no. Hold that thought. You guys talk amongst yourself. D, look at the chat. I need to go not only to the restroom, but put some water on my face to just. And after that, I'm gonna have to
Oh,
probably do the ritualistic thing of just taking a shower to get these energies off me. I'll be right back. Okay, so just if you can read chat, D, go ahead, or you guys talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
okay.
But this has been one heck of an interview. Hold on.
Hey guys, I can't chat with you guys back. I don't know if I can. Oh, I gotta sign in. Jeez. Yeah, since a toddler. Staff, so everyone, I know there's a lot of Hawaiian hauntings. I don't know if any of my neighbors on my Navy base is watching as well too. But my eldest sister is sorry I'm calling you elder, but my sister is Sassy Mom 63. She's the one that pretty much made me believe that I wasn't going crazy. Adrian, that's my niece, her daughter, that I wasn't going crazy to seeing all these ghosts, all these spirits, these Hawaiian spirits, and zombie looking spirits. When I say zombie, they weren't like Americanized, westernized, eat fleshing, whatever. I'm not afraid of zombies. So whenever all those zombie shows and movies came out, trust me, I fall asleep. That's boring. Because legit, I've dealt with hauntings all my life, and I've been in the epicenter of the most haunted places in Japan. Misawa is the most extreme, okay, because of all the traumatizing situations that happened there. And look at my former neighbor in Misawa. I can I can say with ego with it, in my opinion, that the most scariest thing to me would be something that is grudge-like or is the exorcist, right? So, dude, yeah. So I'm gonna just say that anything when I say zombie doesn't scare me. But when I say zombie, as in I'm saying it wrong, I'm not meaning to be disrespectful. but in other words, they came from the dead, and um, you can smell the dead. You can smell like going to a funeral, and that's what I would experience growing up here on the island in Kukui Gardens. And no wonder, because where I grew up at Kukui Gardens, it used to be that Chinese, like a Chinese camp where they housed all the Chinese that they weren't nice to them at all in the 1800s, 1900s, and then where the Hawaiians, all our ancestors were buried young to old. They used to have a village out there in that land where I grew up, all the way out to Ala Park, to Chinatown, marriage housing. And this is like, yeah. And all their bones were found. So
All right, I'm back. Holy cow. Whew. Gee whiz.
so that's why I could handle all this, I guess. It scares me, but honestly, I know I'm protected, guys. And it's I know you guys all say Jesus and God, but I see it more like guardians protecting me also too.
Well, that's where we differ in our paths because
Mhm.
I've been out in the field with other people with their belief systems, guardians, and everything else. And while that does help, I know for a fact that when we get together, we do a circle or something. We don't talk guardians at the end of the night. We talk God, and we ask Him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying
Yeah.
my part. We just ask Him for that really important um, that not only the blessing but the that circle of protection, and then taking that protection when you leave and go home time and time again. And I don't see people turning and saying, oh, guardians help us. I think there's a basic
Yeah.
belief, and it's ingrained in us to just ask for divine
Yes.
protection. I gotta say, when I
Yes.
came in this room, I almost smelt like what it smelled like to be in a funeral, which is just crazy. Um, and like I said earlier, when you were talking about Aokigahara, and what that man said that, oh, it's not haunted. There was a dude behind me tapping me on the shoulder, wanting my attention, and these
Wow.
things just pop up into your damn head, And
Wow.
yeah, so sorry about that, guys. I need to go outside to use the restroom.
Was it was it trying to? Do you think that male entity or that male spirit was trying to let you know that I'm wrong, or that there's more to what?
I'll put it to you this way. At the beginning of our interview, we talked about how these spirits appear, how they are seen, and I will tell you straight up that I'll tell you straight up that these spirits look really, for some reason, they're the most scariest looking spirits in the world. So the one that was behind me, tapping me on the shoulder, had like a really long, pale arm, and just tapping me on the back, and that goes beyond my sense of imagination because I try not to think about what these spirits look like. Like, was that funny? Dee Momilani just said she would smell things like at a funeral. And what did I just say when I walked in here? Go figure, guys. There's a thing called synchronicity. I invite you to look up the definition for that as well. So this has been one heck of a show. And Dee, thank you for holding down the fort while I had to go off and chase off some of these things and then try to get it out of my system a bit. And
I want you. Do you mind sharing? Because you know what I'm gonna do. I want to let everybody know that what I'm gonna do after this is I want to go visit the Shinto shrine.
oh, okay, okay. I mean,
Okay.
we don't have our. Another good thing to use is Gregorian chants. If you guys are all familiar with that. But if you listen to Gregorian, yeah, make sure it's not the commercialized stuff, because we all have that stuff out there. But it's a very those monks, they don't talk. The only time they emit sound is when they're singing and chanting to God. It is such a powerful. So that's good. Anything like for you, D, with that or anything else, if you folks feel like after this show or anything in life that you're going through something, good, identify what works best for you. Please do that. Please,
Yeah.
because you don't want to be overwhelmed. Trust me.
After this, I felt it. I felt like what I did in Japan all over again. It's like, oh no, all these emotions. So I had meant to go to the reason why a Shinto shrine, yeah,
Mhm.
because Japanese, Japanese culture, Japanese spiritual. I was always told that in Japan. Um, you know that the Shinto religion obake is actually developed also from the Hawaiian culture.
I didn't know that. That's very interesting.
I learned that from a Hawaiian historian, and then my cousin, who is the Japanese businessman and the anthropologist, he actually said, "Whoa, I read that. I read that with one of my studies. I came across that when he was doing his research in not Osaka in oh, it starts with a K. There's like that old Japanese village where all the shrines and everything
What
that
was that?
I forgot the name of
Was
it
that
in
you? Did you just
Japan.
go? Did you just go? Ah, was that you?
Yeah, that was me.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right.
That was
Thank
it.
you. Thank you. Thank
That
you.
makes
Because it didn't sound like you, but thank you for acknowledging. Go on.
I'm trying to remember. So anyways, he actually went into an old history book, and he found that it is true that what the Hawaiian historian said that I've known that lived here on Oahu, and
Mm-hmm.
he actually was living somewhere else beyond Oahu, and we were pen pals at the time when I was in Japan, and he would tell me, this Hawaiian historian would tell me that he actually interviewed a Shinto priest,
Mm-hmm.
and the Shinto priest told him many years ago, this Hawaiian historian, that something to do with, I don't know the timestamp on this, but something to do with,
Thank you,
maybe one
Aristocat.
of
Mm-hmm.
our viewers can look it up or something, where when the Japanese people used to do trading with our Hawaiian people,
Mm-hmm.
canoes and all that. That's how Japanese words were formed also from the Malaysian people and then from the Hawaiian people. Because you be hearing some Hawaiian words to the Japanese, and that's what I was told. It got picked up from, they loved Hawaii. So the spiritual people of Japan love the old religion, the old beliefs, the old ways of our ancestors' way of worshiping and all that.
Uh-huh.
And they picked up all those old ways from the Hawaiian and they brought it with them to Japan. And that's how Shinto was also born too.
That's incredible.
Thank you, Dave. Oh my God, I was like,
Guys, this has been one heck of a ride, man. This is not an interview. This is a ride. That's exactly what it is, and we're visiting places, and along the way, things that we
I know
don't want to happen are
I
jumping. Things that we don't want to happen are jumping on board to be with us as well, or at least that's what I'm experiencing. So, but yeah, interesting how people just pick up and these things, are become part of their lives. We exchange, and that's kind of like what happens even in today's world. But we're using technology to do it, and but yeah, D, I am just yeah, it's just one of those nights, man.
Yeah. You could see, Mbake, I really was not just ghostly connected to Japan, I spiritually bridged the connections with our Hawaiian culture and Japanese culture. I
Yeah,
did a lot of things. That's when my spiritual awakening woke in Japan.
yeah, I believe it. I totally believe it.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit too
Yeah.
awake, and I'll probably be awake for most of the night. I just the other night I went through that dream experience where like this huge sheet of heavy duty glass uh, somehow got off my table when I had a dream about speaking about ghosts in Hawaii. I had a dream about spirits at Aloha Road, and that freaking thing lifted off the table and shattered. Thank God it's reinforced glass, but
Mm.
the connection is just I can't shrug it off and say, nah, just a dream. It's because it just connected too well. So again, it's how things come into our lives, and what do we intend to do with that? I think some of the ways we do something good with it is doing like what we're doing right now and talk about it. It's not good
Yeah.
to internalize it, and you're sharing it with a larger group of people, and
Yeah.
no one has said, "Ooh, that's not true." And if they did, I would have booted them off this stream. Trust me, easily. They would be gone. It's like I don't care who you are. You're not.
My poor next door neighbor that's
Yeah,
still in Misawa, Japan.
yeah. You will not.
Then this is handle what I handle.
Before we kind of like slowly start to go towards the end of the program, um, did you? I mean, is there more stories about that lady? Oh, geez. Okay, yeah, you would say that, and that's cool because there's
Other establishments on Misawa Air Base.
yeah that are
Other
haunted,
former
right?
neighbors.
That are haunted. Yeah, we're gonna save that for the next show.
And
So
other history that Hawaii needs to learn about that is connected to Hawaii that will give them more chicken skin. That gave me chicken skin.
so what I want you to do then is compile all of this stuff, because
Okay.
your next show may be before June, but in June I'm definitely
I'm
open
gonna say next weekend.
open invite an open invite because the talk story has been really amazing, and of course we are talking ghosts here as we always do when I have a
You know
guest on
what
the
to do
show.
next weekend?
Yeah,
We
sure.
can go to Shrine of Pumpkin.
You can go to a Shinto. You can go to a Shinto shrine. Maybe that would be like a clearing up of energies that are
Okay.
around us. Like, let's see. Let's go back on some of the things people are saying because there's, with this show tonight, there's been like a lot of people leaving comments or saying things. I'm just going back a little bit because there's just too much to keep up with. Rain Rain says, Rajin says, "Oh my God, you said long arm," and Lewis said, "Slender Man, damn chicken skin." Trust me, this was not Slender Man. This was not something from a video game or an urban legend.
Oh,
This was a very long arm, maybe stretching out over the ocean from. I'm not saying it is, but maybe from Aokigahara and tapping me on the shoulder. So it's an entirely different vibe, guys. Entirely different experience. Let's see. You are both incredible, Obaki and Dee. Love this live stream tonight. Thank you so much. Dave, he is saying Kyoto. I don't know what Kyoto has to do with anything. Oh,
because the one my cousin did his research. He went to an old library to go do the research with all the other where all the old scholars, I guess, are, and they put in things from predating the people of Japan and all that, like all those old collective research and all that. So that's where he came upon where he saw that it is true that Shinto religion has derived from our old Hawaiian, the ancient Hawaiian worshiping, or how our ancestors worshiped the nature, everything, the gods, how they were so respectful to everything. Yeah, that's why the Japanese loved it.
aloha, Kuniko kid. Thank you for stopping by this evening and sharing. Every time I think of poltergeist activity, I think about this famous documentary where a brick flew through the air. Anything goes when it comes to the supernatural. Jessica Mink, Kuniko Kid. I like how Japan and Hawaii believe in rock spirits. Very true. It is said in the rock there is life. But then again, I swear I read it. Maybe it was from Glenn Grant. It also said, "In the rock there is death." And then thank you, Sassy Mom, for the type for all your wonderful comments. Dave he says Kyoto was old capital of Japan, lots of older places. I believe it, and that's why Dave, I'm going to combine both of your last and first name together and call you Dave from now on. But Dave, that's why I want you on the show. We will have another discussion. You know when I want to have you on the show, Dave? Right at the very end of the season of Ghosts, which is from June, I believe, to the end of summer, and then of course that leads into September, and of course we all know September leads into Halloween.
Oban, right?
Obon. I had some,
Oban?
yeah, I've had some. Well, I had one particular experience, a
They
story that.
have so many festivals on Japan.
Well, in Japan, Obon is
Yeah.
only celebrated like 3 or 4 days out of the year. is it
Yeah.
July or August? Again, don't quote me, you guys.
I
Because
don't
people love
remember.
to do that. People like to get a steamroller, and I just have to pull the plug on them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's like only for a couple of days. In Hawaii, it's from June all the way into September. I think one of the last ones that we have, if I'm not mistaken, is at Kapilani Park. It's an Okinawan festival or something. And we have it. And that's the ending of the Obon. But pandemic, we didn't have one last year. We sure as heck ain't going to have one this year. And that's really sad because you know what I love? Yeah, it's the food. The food and the dancing. I love that stuff. So, but it is the
Yeah.
season of ghosts. No
You know
doubt.
what? To enlighten this conversation, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't mean to write down any local businesses or anything. Forgive me, Hawaii. But when you live so many years on Japan, not just vacation, when you live so many years on Japan and you want to experience it all, you want to eat all their foods. I'm very picky, but their ramen, there is different ramen
Yes.
from different regions. So northern Japan, we pretty much had Hokkaido type of or Sapporo type of ramen, but it was all homemade. The restaurants we went to were all homemade. Like, it would be in someone's house in the restaurant. But anyway, dude, and not just that, like everything else. The ramen, I cannot find the same quality ramen here in Hawaii as I did in San Diego. Maybe just one time I did at Marukai in San Diego. I finally found it. I kept looking. I'm still trying to find that perfect ramen broth. That taste. Oh, just so fresh, just so good. And their sushi, their maguro, which is their aki, the yellow fin tuna, is
Yes.
like in northern Japan. It's like incredible. It's like it just falls off. It's like the sashimi just falls off. It's like it just melts on your tongue. It's just so soft,
I
so
totally get it.
delicate.
I worked in a sushi bar with chefs that were
Yeah.
sushi chefs from
Oh my
Japan.
god.
Yes, it's really good stuff. Um, I can imagine, Faye. I really can. I've seen some great stuff, great food content videos from coming out of Japan itself. And yeah, I just want something comforting. Maybe I'll eat ramen, even though it's not the same as in Japan and other places. But what is that saying there? Faye knows. LOL. You're the only guest I know that does this. I really like that. You know, that's pretty cool. You should hold up a sign that says "We'll work for sushi," but it's just
Well,
forgive me, guys. I'm glad we switched. Oh, by the way, that's what I was gonna bring up. Boom. Once over the years, I have people hitting me up in Messenger and telling me all kind of interesting things. And that's why I have to turn my messenger off because there's just too many people popping in my messenger. But what happened was someone told me that there is a ramen shop in Wahiwa that is haunted. And there have been a few experiences that have scared people out there. And they said you'll know what that place is because right outside the door they have a bowl of salt. There's a bowl of salt right outside the door to ward off whatever is trying to go there and indulge in maybe that ramen is out of this world in more ways than one.
yeah.
Maybe that is the
Well,
case.
and
Oh,
also
good
like
night, hold on. Good night, Jessica. Yeah, thank you for stopping by.
good night,
Thank you.
Jessica. Thank you, Adrian. That's my niece, Adrian.
Oh, awesome, awesome.
Yeah. But Faye mentioned Maguro. Yeah, that's the like our Aki,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And yeah, Yaobake, our Aki. But
Mm-hmm.
probably like a different grade maybe. But yeah, the reason why it's so good there in northern Japan, their sushi, because I noticed the difference from Tokyo to northern Japan. I didn't believe my cousin and friends, Japanese friends, that told me when we move up to northeastern Japan, right underneath Hokkaido, it's because it's all cold water. It's Japan stays cold. I never went swimming in the water.
Oh, and
Never went
also,
swimming in the ocean.
thank you guys. There's a lot of likes tonight. Again, I really appreciate it because, like I've said I've said this rarely, but I'll say it again. Ghosting ain't easy. Whether you're doing a live stream and talking to guests and fending off spirits, or you're out there in the field, like what I'll be doing in the next couple of weeks. Matter of fact, I just got through buying two lights. This whole time that I've been working in my YouTube community while doing my videos, a lot of it has been like total darkness. So I just got through getting two specialized, really good lights, and I've decided not to go full spectrum for now. I decided not to go infrared, although I do have an infrared camera. And
Oh,
the reason is I want to have the audience experience what I do. You know, when you bring in all of these other types of technology, then yeah, you're looking further in to what is out there, you know, with full spectrum and stuff. I want you folks to get an idea of what I'm feeling as well. So, on top of that, before we end this program, open invitation to Faye Okamoto and anyone else that would like to take a walk in the dark with me, because I know they've done it several times. But this time I'll have some light. Thank God I will have some light with me. And so look forward to that, guys. And I'm pretty much running on empty right now. Especially when Dee started talking about ramen and everything else too, because that's good stuff, man. That's you know what that is? That's Oriental soul food. That's Asian soul food.
yeah,
Am I right? Am I right, guys?
yeah,
Is ramen
yeah.
Asian? Is ramen Asian soul food? I think it is. You know, that just hits you in the
It,
comfort zone. Look at you smiling, Dee. You made it. You made it through very well. Like you probably didn't experience what I did, so lucky you. Um, that was like, you know what it felt like for me tonight? It really felt like, oh yes, with the spam. That's more soul. That's like Hawaiian soul food. Uh, but anyway, what it felt like me tonight is, well, Dee was telling stories, and these unusual manifestations occurred inside of my head. It's like I was like in a Japanese horror movie. That's like a Japanese ghost movie. That's exactly what it was like, and I did not
wow.
intend that to happen, because if you think of even that in the movie The Grudge, that is like, and I can't even do it the right way, but that is, yes, do the neck. We need to have you on Halloween. And I probably, you know what, I would like to incorporate some of Dee's most terrifying moments for a Halloween show. And in case Dee is wondering, and I encourage people to tune in more if you want. I'm going to be collecting stories from the audience. So again, leave me comments or hit me up on my. I think it's working. I'll check if it is. If not, I'll make a new one and then I'll just let you folks know what my new email is. But hit me up at obakihunter51@gmail.com. Submit your stories to me and we will have our own Halloween party. And we will share some of these stories that you have given to this program. And I remember when I did H3, stories from H3, that was comments um, in the video of that Screams in the H3 tunnel that I did. Uh, People really like that. And you guys deserve to have those stories heard at that time of the year and stuff. And so, again, D, what are we hitting here? 152 minutes. I told you it would be like that. It would be like, you wouldn't even think about, well, what should I say or how we say it. Huh?
I'm gonna be honest. I know I don't mean to disrespect you, Obake, in a beautiful way, but I'm so like ready to share more by next week.
How is that disrespecting me? I love it. And that's cool. That's cool. That really is. That means you're enjoying yourself, which is what I
Yeah.
want all of my guests to do. Is just really feel like that talk in the dark taken to the next premium level. This is a premium level type of experience when we do this, and
Yeah.
we will. Let's see. It's the end of March. I'm going to be doing some stuff
Okay.
in April. Maybe I can have you on as a guest to talk about some stuff in Hawaii. We'll talk about the spooky stuff, which is important for the whole idea of what this channel represents. It's just the unknown and how we look at it. And then we can do some of the spiritual. I've had guests come on, but one guest in particular that we talked about Evie, we talked about Puli and all this other stuff. And I can incorporate some of that with you as well.
Chotobate
Are
for
you
the
telling?
couch.
Okay, I thought you were trying to say talk to the hand. What?
Chotobate Sumate Kudasai.
Yes,
I
I'll
just
wait.
heard somebody call my name. Somebody, a male just, I'm not scared. I've always heard this throughout home. Somebody just whispered my name. My middle name, my Hawaiian middle name, Momilani. It was a male. It was like a long drive. I haven't heard this in such a long time.
No, no, no. Put the pedal to the metal with that one. Um,
Ah,
Faye, thank you so much for saying that. Lewis said, "Oh no, your sister said you're a great dancer. I believe it. I would like to see you do hula one day. If we ever get together and do an event like I used to have before, please do some hula for us if you don't mind." Um, Faye said, "Amazing
Faye,
show tonight. Thank
Faye.
you, Dee and Obaki." Lewis is saying 2 minutes and 22 seconds. I guess something happened around there. Uh, yeah, it's one of those shows that you really don't just stop right away. You kind of like ease into the ending of the show. And I gotta say right now, this is one of the best shows, live streams. Uh, Joe Panohu gave you one of the greatest compliments of all, is that you were amazing with what you did tonight. So thank you for being, two thumbs up and not, like a half a thumb. I don't even know if that exists. But Rainy is saying, Rain, much mahalo for sharing, D. You're awesome. Mahalo Obaki for the live. Good night, everyone. Good night. And sleep tight and, dream of hugging puppies or something, or kittens.
Dream about good things. Dream about the. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. Even though Japan had scary stuff,
Dream about
you
ramen.
know that's my nini. That's small. Majority of my time in Japan, it was beautiful. You know, it's beautiful, beautiful experience. The nature is beautiful. Dream about the nature. Dream about something beautiful.
Mm. And again, thank you for making me feel good by saying we're going to do a show soon, because I always kind of sit back and wondering, am I saying the right things? Am I drawing people in? Is my content, even when I do Talk in the Dark and I'm just talking to people, if it's good? And thankfully, some people have shared and said, yes, it is good. But I really am trying to build this channel. And that's why I again ask all of you to, some, people that like to be scared. Tune in when D shows up. Not just kidding, but tune into the channel and let us know how you're feeling. And I just think I really, that's what we're saying here is good night, all. Okay. You okay?
Thanks, Hannah. Bye.
Hold on a second. Dee's upbeat personality made the scary stories easier to hear. Mahalo, Obaki, and Dee Momilani. Eric is saying, you say Kanishigi, Salt
Oh,
Morigio.
okay.
I'm probably
Yeah.
ruining that whole word. Used in front of homes established to ward off evil purification. Well, I told you about the haunted the ramen restaurant or shop in Wahiwa, and they keep a bowl of salt outside of theirs. And that's
I
not the
see
only
that.
one. Oh my God, wasn't that other one? There was an old time restaurant
Yeah. I've seen that
here.
in Japan anytime.
There was an old restaurant here. Glenn talked about it. Was it Wako or something? I can't remember the name of the restaurant. But anyway, there was in this Japanese restaurant, there was a woman that took her life, and she was a waitress. They used to always wear like kimonos and stuff. And I think, yeah, there were sightings of her after her death, going up to the people's tables and seeing what they wanted. Just whoo. Yeah, it's here too, guys. It's here as well. I look forward to again bringing some of the Japanese element to this show, because Hawaii has such a strong Asian connection, if you understand what I'm saying. I know Dee probably understands that. Very strong Asian connection here in Hawaii. That's why I like to go to Okazuyas and stuff too. Yeah, there's good things. But we'll end the show with share one of the most nicest things that you ever went through. One of the nicest ones that you went through. Let's just dispel this energy.
Oh, sorry, my phone dropped.
Okay, that's okay.
That was one of the nicest things right there. Um,
And that your phone dropped.
it's like the grand finale. I was out of fireworks, just finished popping in my pockle. um, one of the nicest things
Yeah,
in Japan.
yeah.
Oh, I got to give back to all the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I want to say in the thousands all the tsunami, the earthquake and tsunami survivors of March 2011. I was personally invited um, by my, because there's so many good, awesome, amazing things that happened with me in Japan. I was even on TV in Tokyo. Oh my God. Um, but yeah, I gave back to um, the Japanese survivors from all the way from Fukushima all the way up to Misawa. And me, see, incredibly, long story short, sorry. Oh, did I time out Obake?
No, you're still on.
Okay, because I could see myself still rolling on my phone.
Okay.
Okay, so so you guys know that March 11, 2011, right, is when the huge earthquake and the huge tsunami and the Fukushima nuclear power plant um, devastated Japan, right?
Yes.
Well, me and my kids, we miraculously left home. We left Japan, Misawa, for like just 1 week prior to come home here on the island to be with my dad, because my parents were in the 70s at the time, and he was supposed to have surgery. And incredibly, the day of when the earthquake hit, probably like hours prior, my dad comes back from his surgery pre-op, finds out he don't need surgery, got canceled. So I'm like, well, we got one-way ticket. I ain't going back home to Japan. I want to be on my food here and see my family. Well, anyways, that whole for 2.5 months, me and my kids were home here. I went through a lot of deep emotions being here and healing as well. So my cousin on my mom's side told me, Dee, when you go back to Japan, you gotta do something. You gotta do something deep for the people of Japan. Something that'll heal them. Something that'll cure them. Will make them feel like they can feel Hawaii again. And I was like, I got it. And so we went, me and my kids, the Navy, the U.S. Navy was able to let us go back to Japan by May 2011. And my God, already all their aftershocks were done. And long story short, it was my Japanese friend that worked on Misawa base that invited me. He called me up like 1 week after I returned and said, hey, can you do like a hula? Can you share something about Hawaii with all these people? Because we're going deep into all these fishing villages where the tsunami destroyed and all these people that survived. So Obake, yes, to me that was the most beautiful thing. I was even interviewed on KHON2 News on the phone for this too. But we got to share, my kids got to experience it. We got to get back to the people of Japan. And they would cry, they would thank us. But you know what I learned from the people of Japan? And this is why, like in the time of like this pandemic, or like whenever we had that, when we had all these strong, whenever something bad or tragic happened in our lives, you know what I learned from the people of Japan, helping them and giving back to them for love, was they all carry, and Faye and Dave, he hopefully can expand on this, but they believe in the samurai spirit, where you move forward. You pick up your integrity, you pick up your honor, you remember your country, you remember your people, and they always move forward. The samurais always move forward. They did not live in the past. They did not live backwards. The ancestors of Japan never lived backwards. Just like our Hawaiian ancestors, they never believed going backwards. They believed going forward. And oh my God, I felt that. I felt that in Japan. That hit me. So when I found out my dad was diagnosed with cancer while we were in Japan, 2011, that kept me strong.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dee. That was
You're welcome.
that was some good vibrations, as the Beach Boys would say. And we will definitely. This is a good way to end the show. We will definitely have you back multiple times to share the many experiences that I feel are important, especially right now. The whole freaking pandemic thing. I'm going to be getting my vaccine soon as well. But I know we still have a road ahead of us, each and every one of us. But when I sit down and I talk with all of you, I feel that we are somehow together. We're in the same place, and being scared is something that we need to overcome, whether it's through a ghost story or through a pandemic. Okay, guys, always remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, and as far as for each and every one of you here tonight, and Dee, please uh, stay on when I sign off, so we can talk story just a little bit more. For all of those that are listening tonight, again, thank you so much. Because you're sharing my journey. And when I first started doing this, it was a very lonely one. And it's really hard. I mean, Dee touched my heart too, because my spiritual hardships are ongoing. And try to stay in the grace of God, and being attacked by the dark side is not an easy thing. But I appreciate it. You guys humble me by being here, and I appreciate it. Sometimes I get a pipe dream. I want to just stuff it in a pipe and smoke it, and hopefully it takes me somewhere, or I think maybe this channel will, become something more than it is. But even if it doesn't, I have you guys, and to me that's all that really matters. I'll keep my pipe dream though, just in case. You never know. Anyway, guys, let's end this all with a prayer. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just turn to Keokua, who we all know is there. No matter what you call him, he is one and the same. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Lord, I thank you tonight, not only for the conversations that we've had this evening, but the fact that whether or not, I know this is true, whether or not you agree with us, you love us. And how amazing is that? With all the turmoil that's going on in this world, all the shootings and the tension and the racial division and everything else, your love stands above all of us. Even if we were just loving each other and doing great, your love stands above all of us. How amazing is that? But you love the people that you frown upon. So we ask your love to come into this picture, and we ask that your love remove all of this negativity, whatever they may be, and replace it. Replace it with what you bought when you made the world. The love and intention of peace and being together with you. And I thank you, God, and I ask this in Jesus' name, and I thank him for being our Savior. I thank you for doing the things that are important even when we turn away from you. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, may you all go your way in peace and light and love. Amen, amen, amen. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys. Love you a lot. Love you too, Dee. Send me a picture of ramen or something one day. I want to see it.
Okay, sure. Good night. I want to say good night to my sister,
Sure.
my older sister.
Sure, go ahead.
My
Sure, go ahead.
Good night, okay. Good night, Dad. Love you guys. Love you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone from Hawaiian Hauntings. And if anybody's from the Pearl City Peninsula, where I live, thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah, we're just shy of 3 hours. This has been an amazing show. It's been an amazing show, man.
You post my notes, how I organize it and everything.
We just threw it out the window and said, let's just talk. Let's just talk.
3/4 of the page.
Yeah.
Another page to do.
But look, Dee, look how good it turned out. Like I said, you just sit down. We do what we do best here in Hawaii. Talk story, right? Isn't that the best thing that we do? We love to talk story, man. We love that. Put that beef stew on the stove and talk. Huh? What's that?
I haven't done it for 1 year.
Yeah, and you're a fantastic guest. I don't know. Like I said, probably one of the top tier. They're all great guests, but this show is like one of a kind.
Yeah.
It's freaking out there, man. It's whew. You guys better leave me alone, whoever you are, because I don't fool around. When I say I will pray you away, trust me to the last letter of that word. I will pray you away. I will call upon God and the angels and everyone else that you will one day have to bow down to, regardless of how you feel about it. So, guys, until the next time, one of the things I'm working on, I don't know if Faye is still on, but I really gotta contact Faye, and that's when she feels up to it. I'm gonna schedule her in, and we're gonna do a talk story. Dee, come on by and watch in the audience if you like. We're gonna do
Yeah.
talk story. We're gonna just talk story, man. You know, that kind of stuff is great too. I love this channel because we go to the extreme and then we just kind of like pull back a bit, have a spam musubi and a freaking diet coke or whatever it is, and we just talk story.
All that.
Freaking spam musubi is the greatest, I swear, no joke. Guys, and besides that, I'm having Colleen Vieira come on the show. In case you're wondering who Colleen is, she's been in my videos. Yeah, look at the one at Morgan's Corner with the pounding on the car on the outside. That's Colleen. She's done quite a few shows. She was also in my most well, I guess the one that has shown a lot of intrigue, and that is screaming in the H3 tunnel. Because some people say it's somebody going chee but other people have come on and said no, there was not only a couple of screams, there's like 8 or 10 of them. People are having different experiences with what they hear with that particular video. But Colleen was involved in that and a couple of other things, and I'm gonna have her come on and she's gonna share her impressions of what it's like to be with me out and about when things happen that, just like in tonight's show, we just don't expect. So look for that as well. Joe Panohu, I'm having him come back. I really want to do a story. We did Ghosts of Japan. I want to do the Faceless Woman of Waialae Drive-In and other locations too, including again revisiting his story about Halloween and seeing his own version of the Faceless Woman up at Old Pully Drive. That and some other stuff, guys, are coming up. So thank you again for watching. Thank you for finding our this show interesting. Um, and endless aloha to all of you. And I think Dee shared endless aloha tonight as well. We will all talk to you again soon. Dee, thank you for being Dee. I think we should always say that to each other. Thank you for being Dee. Thank you for being Joe. Thank you for being everyone else, Dave and everyone else. Just thank you for being who you guys are, yeah?
Thank you.
I remember from that old song, yeah? Some of you probably don't even remember it, but there was a song called Love is the Answer, and that'll always bring us back to a good place. I will talk to you all soon. Ghost of Hawaii.
You gotta sing it, Obake. It's not registering in my
What?
popsicle.
Popsicle?
The song?
What?
How does the song go? Like the word.
England Dan. Okay, England Dan and John Ford Coley, I believe, are the name of the two that sang that song. Try do a YouTube search. It's pretty like, I think it's from like the late 70s, but it's, I'm not really a sappy song type of person, but I did go through a sappy song phase in my life. I remember in high school falling in love, and sometimes it was like with older women or my teachers and stuff like that. But I would have that, oh, it's the end of the world if they don't like me. Where's that song, Love is the Answer? I better put that on and play it 20,000 times and just cry my eyes out. So I had my sappy romantic.
Oh my gosh, my sister knows the song.
That's sappy. Your sister knows the song? Yeah, shine on us all. Love is the answer. Bingo. Mahalo and good night. Great show. Ghost of Hawaii chewed off all my cuticles, but it's all good. Well, you don't have to go and have your nails done. Uh, they'll grow back looking.
She does it to herself. She does her own nails.
She does? You're right.
Natural.
You're
It's natural, yeah.
awesome person. So if you remember that song, you remember the crazy days back then. Why am I mentioning this drug? But Quaaludes and all that stuff, and dancing at some of the. I believe that I'm going to do a nostalgia show. Dee, you're invited to come for that as well. We need to clean up the air sometimes on this channel, so we're going to talk nostalgia. We're going to talk about the clubs, the greatest freaking clubs I think in the world were here in Hawaii, in Waikiki. I'm talking about Bobby McGee's. We're talking about masquerades, all the great stuff. We'll talk
That
about
was
this.
before my time.
Uh,
I was like, I was in 1980s. I was still going to Sacred Hearts and Star to see when all those old your age was going.
no. That's okay. We'll fill you in. But you can also share some of the things that you like too. Because if you,
Okay.
anyone that knows my channel, yeah, anyone that, no, not my channel, but my group Ghosts of Hawaii, and I'm sure you've probably seen it, D. Around Halloween, I do a retro fest, if you've seen it, you know. And I throw in all these crazy songs from the 80s and 90s and whatever, and I just get into it. And yeah, you better believe it. Lisa and Cult Jam and all that other good stuff, man. All that. There you go. There you go. If you want to do some dancing and everything else, and that's all good, right? Because it releases all the pilau, right? Gets rid of all
Yes.
of that. So yeah, this, trust me, this show might sometimes make you go, "What the heck is going on?" But I try to keep it fun too, and we got to do that sometimes. Let all that light in, like you said. What did she say again? Your sister, shine on us all. That's what we got to do. We got to bring back the light, guys. Because I tell you right now, this pandemic is getting to be a little bit too much, even for me. I can only stay in for so long, and I need to get back out into the world. I need to get right back to where we started from, and that's another oldie but goodie. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Dee, you are fantastic. Stay Dee, always. You all stay
Okay.
yourselves too. And this time it is good night. Ghost of
Good
Hawaii.
night, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for staying up so late. That was gonna be 1 hour.
Yeah, we are. You know, if we stayed on for 4 more minutes, if you want to do 4 more minutes, we're on for 3 hours. Three hours. You might be the longest show that I've ever had.
Yeah, I never saw it coming.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's one heck of a night. 176 minutes. That's crazy. But it was great, you know. I mean, and I feel better. So thank you for, I guess, with the way we ended it with what you shared. Oh, I wanted to tell you one other thing. In regards to Fukushima and the other places in that experienced that tragedy with the tsunami and the earthquake, there have been numerous reports coming out of Japan about spirits. And right now, my heart wants to break because one of the stories that was shared was about all these people that perished at this bridge, the teachers and whatnot. They were trying to decide, I believe that's the connection to it, about how they were going to escape. But regardless,
Wow.
they were going across this bridge and many died. But the sad thing is, was this story that was shared by a taxi driver who was
Ooh,
that picked up this one
yeah.
one young lady in his car or something, like approaching the car and said, um, "Am I dead?" So yeah, the paranormal at times is also heartbreaking. It breaks your heart when you think of the other types of spirits that are out there. Not the one with the big eyes walking around in the dark, but in the middle of the day, and they don't know that they passed away. So, guys, every once in a while, please put your hands together and say a little prayer for the spirits that really need those prayers, really need to make that type of connection. So, yeah, I just thought I'd share that as well, Dee, that there are hauntings coming out of that place. So, God bless Japan. God bless us all. Ghost of Hawaii, you're home for a dose of ghosts, and sometimes a woman asking if she's still here. Good night.
Bye, guys.